make their way in when they make their way in. Shout out to everybody that's gonna be coming into space tonight, but we ain't gonna hold up the party. We're gonna let the folks come in when they come in. I'm getting ready to go live on YouTube as well. Shout out to everybody that's in the Twitter space. Shout out to the folks over there in YouTube land as well too. When you guys come on YouTube, make sure that you go ahead and click that notification bell. Make sure that you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Also share out tonight's broadcast. Definitely like and comment tonight. Definitely leave a like on there as well too. And if you want to comment, definitely go ahead and comment. This is part 2 of the actual podcast / Twitter space we had last night. You guys may see on YouTube when you get up in there, you may see where it says African leaders hold major, or part 2, African leaders hold major Pan-African conference on reparations in Ghana. Last night we had a pretty nice conversation flowing, and we definitely we had a number of people coming up. A couple people had different points of view, which I do enjoy. You know, I don't want to just have an echo chamber and everybody pretty much saying the same thing. So we did have a couple people that came in and kind of had their own opinions about everything as well too. So I definitely hope that we do have some varying opinions up in the space / podcast tonight. Shout out to Black by popular demand. I see you just popped up in here as well too. And, you know, we're not gonna let our folks kind of come in, filter in full Negro. Of course, like with Fanny's already been up here, so we're gonna let our folks come in. As they come in, they can go ahead and get into the actual conversation with us. Definitely get into the conversation with us. I saw, of course, I earlier posted something too. I saw the situation with Diddy and his ex Cassie, and that's pretty crazy. Definitely may have to touch up on that in another space of podcast as well too. But yikes. He's got something he's got to deal with on that issue right there. I know it's been a long time since they've been together, but yeah, she's hitting him with a lawsuit. So I guess you have the actual you have a law up there in New York where she still has a window to file something. So she's filing it now. But we're definitely gonna we'll definitely we may try to touch up on that as well too. Like I say, in a future podcast / space, I definitely want to go back and revisit last night's conversation. We had a nice one. We were talking about the conference, the Pan-African conference going on over there in Ghana, and it drew quite a few people out in the actual space last night. And like I said, we had, as we was closing the space out, there was still a number of people that wanted to speak in the space. So I figured, hey, we'll do a part 2. We'll go ahead and let the people, you know, that may want to come back in tonight and voice their opinion about the situation. We had a couple African brothers that was up in here. Shout out to Be Nice. I see you say you just touched down over there. So shout out to you, Be Nice. Definitely share out the broadcast tonight. But we had a couple brothers. Of course, you know, the space is majority Black American, but we did have a couple African brothers that was up in here. It's the one cat. I have a hard time saying his name. Apapa, whatever it is. I just call him Double A. Hopefully he'll come in tonight. I did send him an invite for the space tonight, but you know, that brother, he was talking about everything, you know, that was going on and with the Pan-Africans and you know, the amount of people that was over there. I know one of them, it was either him or Nada, said they had actual pictures of what was going on and stuff as well too. So, you know, my thing, and I still hold true to form for what I said last night. To me, it seemed like you were talking about the Pan-African conference, but the actual amount of participation that you had from not only Black Americans and also from those from the diaspora, to me seemed pretty negligible. Of course, like I say, the article I read last night, it didn't really mention exactly who and what nation was actually representative that was in this actual Pan-African conference. So, you know, until I actually saw who's actually a representative in there, I really couldn't speak on it. But I'm going to touch up on that article real quick, you know, just as a refresher to go ahead. I see more people coming up in here. Black Idaho, Andre, what's up with you guys? What's up with you guys? Definitely go ahead and tweet the actual room out, guys. Definitely tweet the actual room out. I see Black Majority States up in the spot as well too. And like I say, pretty nice podcast / Twitter space last night, guys. Make sure you guys that you visit newstoter.com to stay up to date. Like I say, 90% of the content, 95% of the content that we hold actual podcast spaces on come directly from that site. This is a Black-owned site. It curates Black news. The content is Black news, so we do quite a bit. And if you guys are paying attention on Twitter, you'll see the amount of actual posts that come off that site daily. Well over 30 some odd posts a day come off of the actual off of the newstoter.com platform. I see originals up in the spot as well too. Salute to you, Naka Bell. What's going on? What's going on? It says Newstoter, can you look into the Lamington Black Cemetery in Bedminster, New Jersey? I'll see what's up. We got DJ. He's up from that area up there. He's from the New Jersey area, so I'll let DJ know about that, what you said as well too, guys. And I want to just go ahead and give a kind of refresher from last night. I want to touch up on the article just to kind of get things flowing back into the actual back into that spirit, so everybody can actually know exactly what's up. Because I'm pretty sure all you guys that's in the space now was here last night. This is from a curation partner, Neo Jim Crow. Like I said, we're just going to touch up on this article that we touched up on last night. It's in the Jumbotron. It's also in the actual description, just for those that may have missed it as well, too. It says Pan-African Conference on Reparations opens in Accra. A Pan-African Conference on Reparation Payments for Colonial-Era Injustices and Slavery opened Tuesday in Ghana. Attending the conference is chairperson of the African Union, the AU commissioners, some African government representatives, as well as Africans from the diaspora. Pretty broad term from the diaspora. We don't know exactly who from what. Now, maybe there's other articles out there that actually do pinpoint the location and the actual nationalities of who were actually there, but this article really did not. Delegates are hoping to develop a unified, effective strategy which covers an effective way of securing reparations for Africans. The gathering is the first after the African Union endorsed a recent push for the payment of reparations to Africans and people of African descent for historic injustices. The African Union Commission's deputy chairperson told the gathering that the reparations are justified and go beyond financial compensations. Now, I want to know exactly, when they say goes beyond financial compensations, exactly what does that mean? What does that mean? I want to know exactly the dollar amount they're talking about as well, too. Reparations are more than merely financial transactions. They are moral and ethical obligation. They represent our acknowledgement of past wrongs and, importantly, the resolve to make amends. It is a tangible step towards justice, equality, healing for those who have suffered and continue to suffer consequences of historical injustices, she said. Okay, I mean, I can get with that. A lot of people are big on apologies and stuff like that, but apologies are only good if it's backed up by something. A key champion of reparations in recent years has been Ghana's president, Nana Akufo-Addo, who said the push for reparations was long overdue. It is time for Africa, 20 million of whose sons and daughters who had their freedoms curtailed and sent into slavery, also to receive reparations. No amount of money can restore the damage caused by the transatlantic slave trade and the consequences, but surely this is a matter that the world must confront and can no longer ignore. The entire continent of Africa deserves a formal apology from the European nations and the slave trade, the president said. Now, he's saying that the entire continent of Africa. What about the entire diaspora, since this is a Pan-African thing as well, too? Does the entire Black or African diaspora also deserve an apology as well, too? I know you said the continent, but this is a Pan-African. So when you say Pan-African, this means global. Demand for reparations is new in Africa, with South Africa hosting the Global African Diaspora Summit in 2012. British MP Bell Ribeiro Addy said it's important countries that committed the colonial injustices and past crimes don't dictate how these reparations are paid. While my daughter Ghana, I'm a British politician, the policy of reparation would be made in parliaments like mine, but I do not believe that Western countries should be detecting how and what is given in reparations. The injustice must stop, and that means reparations must be carried out on the terms of those most impacted. She said this week's conference will have the first ever African committee of experts on reparations to develop a common African position on reparations and incorporate an African program of action. Jasmine Mickens of Open Society Foundation urged delegates to present a united front if results are to be realized. We're not here to speak on shared words of inspiration, but we lead with collective action, and we take seriously what the movement requires to be sustained. I'm even more excited about what we would do in days to come, Mickens said. Delegates at the conference would explore legal and moral grounds for reparations and different models of justice. This would also be among others at the conference developing an action for plan for sustainable uh, justice process in Africa at the end of the conference. So, different models. I'm exactly trying to say exactly what type of models that they're talking about trying to put into effect as well. Like I said, it was pretty broad. It didn't really point to any solutions at this point. Who knows exactly? They could be over there coming up with solutions. As we heard last night, like I said, we had a couple African brothers, couple different points of views about things as well too up in the space. We also had a brother last night that was in here that was a Pan-African. I believe the brother Shaw he says he was 61 years old, and he's he had the Pan-African spirit amongst him last night. He was talking. I know a couple people found it interesting that the one brother, I think it was Nada, said that I think some people kind of got a little irked when he was comparing the transatlantic slave trade or chattel slavery to somebody that was homeless and trying to get a job, and that comparison kind of that comparison kind of stalled out a little bit what he was saying, because I don't think that's comparable. Somebody's trying to get employed, and at the same time you're looking and you're trying to compare that to chattel slavery, which you mean if you were in chattel slavery, you were a slave, your kids was a slave, your entire bloodline would be a slave for the most part, unless somehow you got freedom and your kids were born free. But so I mean, pretty much everybody was going to be a slave for that part. I see Original up in here. I see that Negro up in here as well too. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to QT coming up in here. And guys, like I said, this is just going to be a part 2 of the actual conversation that we had last night. Carlos, shout out to you as well too. I don't I want to see exactly what dollar amount that the actual Africans are talking about as well too. Now, a lot of people were concerned, and if you look at some of the comments last night, people felt like, hey, I don't want their reparation claim to interject with mine. It needs to be separate and everything else as well too. I see Original's requesting. I didn't even see requesting to come up here, Original, but let me get you up here. A lot of people are saying, hey, you know what? My thing was that, I don't mind a support of solidarity. You can have a support of solidarity and still have separate claims. Like, just because, you say, hey, I support the Black Americans and they support us, don't mean that, hey, we come together and we're going to split the actual amount and we're going to do this like that right there. So you can have solidarity but amongst people, and still at the same time they have their own agenda and their own plan of action. So I'll say that much. Original, what's going on? How you doing tonight?
Peace, Black Power, reparations, lineage-based reparation. Yeah, when you was reading that article, you said something about some lady who was part of a Open Society Foundation.
I think, let me see, you're talking about the Jasmine Mickens, I think it was. Yeah, she's from the Open Society Foundation.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, that Open Society Foundation, if it's the one I'm thinking about here in America, that is owned and controlled by George Soros. And so, and so you find a lot of these so-called Pan-African people and organizations, they are taking money from white people, but then they claim to represent our best interests. But they are the first one to say we don't need cash payments. We can do this through all kind of programs and this, that, and whatever. And when that goes into play, them and their cronies are operating the so-called non-profits. So they're getting rich, and the masses are stuck left with nothing. So that caught my ear when you said that about this Open Society Foundation. And if it is the same one, if this Jasmine is here in America or whatever, and she's part of that, then that's not a good thing for us. It is not, because I've seen too many of these, just like in Cobra and NARC, as well as what's his name, Ron Daniels. They get money from that Open Society Foundation, and you see what their perspective is when it comes to us when we talk about lineage-based reparation. You see, that's not a, if that's the same organization, that's not a good thing. That is not a good thing because they don't call the shots. They are told what to do. And I cannot get behind anybody that wants to push something with that. Because at the end of the day, you find we are the only group where dumbasses, whether they be politicians or so-called community people, they would tell us that they're being told by the enemy that y'all can do this as no cash payments, you know. And so until that is handled, this is a waste of time. You know what I'm saying?
Now, Original, you say you think that the Jasmine lady, you think that she's from that organization. If you get a chance, look that up. You think that she may be part of a George Soros organization, the Open Society Foundation, because it doesn't. Her name is Jasmine Mickens, so it sounds like she could be right here from America. She could be from the Caribbean. She could be from anywhere, but it doesn't say where she's from either. That's why I say the article was kind of vague and to a certain degree.
Spare her name for me because I'm kind of doing several things here. I'm making dinner and stuff. I'm running late.
Oh, it's just Jasmine, Jasmine, Mickens, Mickens. Just a regular way you would spell Jasmine and a regular way you would spell Mickens.
Okay, well nowadays I have to add the people spell. It looks like I got somebody up there named Jasmine Mickens, and it looks like Jasmine Mickens. Let me see what it says. Okay, she's born in Newark, New Jersey. Jasmine Mickens graduated for Denison University and da 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 da. Yeah, if she comes from that open, if she born here and she's part of that open society, let me see if that's okay. That doesn't come up there, but if she's from here and she's with that Open Society Foundation, that is not a black organization. It is a white organization, and these people, it's like we got to organize better. We have got to get ourselves together. Whether we have to meet on a conference call with other people to take it off of social media, because see, these people, they're being funded by the enemy to represent us, and they're not representing our best interests, and that's not fair to us, because see, they already know the goal that they're working towards, and that is to just to annihilate us, to just throw us out there. We don't get. They want to put these 501(c)(3)s together, saying we can have program. We don't need a program. We need a damn check, the way everybody else got a check. And so, and that's all. If you remember now, I told you, and I've said it several times in your space, that around 2013, Ron Daniel was on a talk show out of DC that I used to listen to. That's where No Taxation, she knew my voice from that show. And Ron Daniel was on there promoting something. So I called in and I asked him, how does he secure funding for his organization? He got that Institute of the Black World, who he claimed to be so connected to Haiti, but Haiti is a mess right now. But anyway, I asked him, how did he secure funding for his organization? He said, well, we don't take money from alcohol. We don't take money from big tobacco. I had to say, excuse me, I don't want to know who you don't take money from. I want to know, how do you secure funding for your organization? See, this is how they want to play these mind games with people. And when I backed him up against the wall, he came out and said they get a check from the Open Society Foundation. And so, and that right there is not good. That right there is not good for us. And see, that's why us and people on the continent of Africa and everywhere else around the world are in the position that we're in. Because see, we keep allowing these people to step up and speak for us, and they're getting money from the enemy, and they're going to do things the way the enemy wants them to do it. And that's not going to benefit us. So when you said that, it just perked up my ears. And so I just want people to understand. There's an organization called the Malcolm X Grassroots Organization, or something like that. They take money from George Soros, and there are many other so-called black organizations that take that money. And once they take that money, see, I used to be a part of an organization in LA called the Talking Drum Community Forum. And we would meet every Friday at the Good Life, and we would only discuss issues pertaining to black people. So they sent in a spy, and the organization received a phone call. They said, "Well, yeah, we know you all could use another, another PA system and some speakers and all of this stuff. Your podium look like it may fall down or something." And we told them, said, "Look, that podium and that microphone is a free microphone, so people can come up there and express themselves." And they said, "Well, we can even get you some scholars. We already have scholars that we want to listen to." And we knew who two of them were, Cornell and Henry. We didn't want to hear them because we already knew they were sellouts. So that's what goes on with this stuff. And then they begin to direct people away from their focus, and then you end up in a worse position than you were before. This is not good. If these people are talking about working, this Jasmine lady, I can already tell you right now, she is bad news. And I don't know her, but she's bad news. But I'm not going to hog up all the time. I just want to throw that out there because I want everyone to know that we have to look at these people. I'm going to go in the Jumbotron. Where is this article in Jumbotron?
It's on the far right hand side. It's the first article, and you good, Original, because we got so far everybody's kind of laid back and chilling. So definitely feel free to go ahead and speak on it. I see DJ's up in the space, but he may just show his head, but I don't think he's fully in the space yet as well too. So
but I just have to throw that out there, man, because see, and this is what I want to express to people. This is why we have to connect with one another in this manner. And if you know something, even if you don't know it to be fully factual, just say, "I want to share this," because we can do further research to find out exactly what is going on with whatever. But if this is the same Open Society Foundation, this is not good news. See, just like how it. See, it was something I saw. It was either something I saw or read, where it stated that years ago, some of the African countries who participated in the slave trade, it was said that they had.
Hey, Original. Hey, real quick, I'm in the Matrix. Can you go ahead and keep talking so I can try to get this straightened out real quick?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So what was said was that these African countries, their reparation claim was rejected because it was shown that they participated in the slave trade. And so, so I don't think we should be mixing our fight for reparations with the African continent, because to mix our fight for reparation with the African continent will be a disaster. It would be nothing but a disaster. And when you look at how a lot of these people conduct, we already see how not all of them, but quite a number of people that come from the so-called diaspora, they come here and they have a negative attitude towards us. And we haven't done anything to these people. That's because of what white people are telling them about us. And we have to stop that. But this right here does not look good. This Jasmine lady, I think she is an agent. She's an operative, whatever you want to call her. Anybody that's working with a white organization is not speaking truthfully to black people. They will only push an agenda that is approved by that organization, and that's just being real with it. Oh, you back up, Newstoter? Okay. Clarity. Go ahead. I see your hand is up.
Okay, thank you.
I'm in the building too. Shout out to you, Original. Go ahead, Clara.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Just a few things. I'm with whoever was just talking. No, we do not need to combine that. They have their own thing. And then afterwards, we come and get our piece from them too, if that's the case. But what we sort of realize is that we're the door. We're the door. That's why everybody's trying to attach themselves to us. And I don't think we understand that. Any and everything has always got to be Black Americans attached to until they get stabilized. And once that happens, it's like, hold on, madam, no, I'm a Nigerian. Oh, no, hold on, ma'am, I'm Peruvian. Well, no, hold on, I'm other. So I think we'd be a fool to do that. And they understand, let me tell you something too. They understand their hand in slave trade. They understand that, but if they can get us on board, they might can get some type of traction, whether it be an investment, whether it be some type of, what is it called? What is it called? Just my tongue. Something. And then it kind of washes their hands too, guys. We don't want to do that. We are the children of these folks, white slave owners, Africans, and indigenous people, and a little bit of a couple other things too. We can't play that type of stuff. Our backs is going to be stood on to get where everybody else is going, and we're going to be left with the debt like we always have been. They're not attaching themselves to us, for anything. If they didn't need us, they'd be like, oh, gosh, get away from me. But they need us so they can attach themselves and anchor themselves to us so they can bring about a claim. And what happens is that since we're the ones that's going to be in the middle that's connecting both of them and everybody else's claim, once they're done with us, they're going to cut our throats and throw us off the ship. They don't need you no more. Like now when we're seeing the HBCUs and everything else, I don't really need you no more, nigga. So quit talking to me. No, I'm American too. No, America is a transit country and I can come here and do what I want to do. That's what you're going to get. Thank you. I'm going to drop.
Appreciate you. Go ahead, Richard. You got it.
Yeah, Clarity, you are exactly right. Because, just like you have the Black folks in the Caribbean, they've had this thing called CARICOM since about 1987. But it only includes Black folks from the Caribbean. But they feel like they should be included with reparations for us just because they moved to America and they may have had some negative experiences here in America. No, that does not qualify you to benefit from our reparations. And this is why it is very important, because I've been doing some research. I've been going through the archives. I've been going through some archives here. I don't want to say exactly what I found yet because I have to talk to some people, and I'm going to see if we can't schedule another date to go back to the Atlanta City Hall City Council meeting, and we're gonna drop some things on them, showing, just pointing out some things to them. I don't want to say what it is right now because I know other people are listening, or they may hear this on the rebroadcast if they play it later. But I've been going through some archives looking for some stuff, and I think I found some stuff that will really force, if we get it out to the proper people, it's going to force these people to change their mind. Because it's going to show them as being basically being anti-Black racist. And like I said, yes, you can be Black and you can be, put it this way, you can be Black, you can be born and bred Black American and be an anti-Black racist. Because see, for years we have allowed people to basically infiltrate us, just like there's this documentary called Spies of Mississippi, and they found out once they released a lot of information, like 20, 40 years later, whenever, they found that this Black guy, he was working with the white racists in Mississippi to try to prevent the Black people from progressing forward. So yeah, this is not a good thing. This is not a good thing because we cannot sit here and continue to allow this to happen. We have to become more organized and hit them where it hurts. Because with these elected officials, like I said, all we got to do is take out about 2 of them. Especially on the national level, we take out 2 of them, and we say why we did it. that's going to force these other ones, even on the local level, to change. Because see, remember, Donna Edwards, she was a former congresswoman for Maryland, but she treated them black folks so badly that she left Congress to try to run for Senate. And so what happened is the black people, and I'm not mad at them either. Do what you got to do to take care of yourself. The black people voted for this white guy over her. So initially he was trying to say that he was just trying to get elected. He wasn't for reparation, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I think he did come back and say that he would support reparations for black people. But see, Donna Edwards did these people so badly. She tried to run for a county commissioner's office that's on the local level. She lost that. She lost that election too, because they said, no, you're not going to represent us anywhere. And until we take that attitude about these people, they are going to continue to do this. This is how we have to organize. Just like we got the election cycle coming up next year, and these Democrats are worried. They are trying to throw everything out there saying, we did this, we did that. But when they send me a message, I'm sending them back angry messages, letting them know you will not get a vote from this number. That I'm letting them know that they've sent like an unsolicited message to this number, and I go off on them. Because if you got the right to send a message to people you don't know, the people have the same right to respond in any way they want to. But I just want to say that, people, that we got to get better. We have to get better organized, and some of this have got to be discussed off of social media. Whether it's we call into like a conference call line or something like that, and some of those you can get some of those for free. But we're going to have to do something to take this off of social media so we can have this discussion and we can strategize as to what we're going to do. And I'll land with that. Go ahead, Clarity.
I'm back, but I appreciate that original for holding it down. I see DJ's up here as well too. So shout out to everybody coming up in the space. But thank you. I'm able to get the audio and everything straight. I was like in the matrix for a second. So shout out to you, original, for holding it down as well too. Double A. I sent you the invite. I definitely want to hear what you got to say tonight. So whenever you want to come on up here, feel free to come on up here and speak as well too. Clarity, how you doing tonight?
I am fine, thank you, and thank you for having me. I'm going to speak on what the young man original said. I want to point out to you guys, we got to understand that if these other groups did not need us, they wouldn't be fucking with us. Point blank, y'all. So let's not play.
Try not to drop any F-bomb, sweetie, though.
Oh, sorry. I do apologize. They won't be messing with us. And that's just what it is, and I think we know that. We got Don up here trying to attach themselves to us. We have other groups that's trying to attach. Just like the guy that gets on his feet, right? He's like, man, I really don't want to bother with this girl, but I know that I can be in here for at least another 6 months. And once I get on my feet, like, man, you know what? I really don't want a relationship right now. You know, I want to be cool. I got to get myself together after they have used you. Or vice versa with the man helping out a young woman. And she's like, you know what? I'm just not feeling this no more. So with that being stated, I think, and just like you said, original, I think that we're going to have to pull that doggone carpet. But also, too, we're going to have to pull the carpet a little bit harder. We have no choice but to let the Democrats fail. There's no helping them. I don't care if you see a dog catcher that's a Democrat and you know him. I'm sorry. We're going to have to sit this one out. We're going to have to bring this ship to a halt. We're going to have to capsize. We're going to have to. They already showing us time and time again that we don't matter. And I believe if we do elect them, any of them, because this is a system that they got going on. So whether it's your auntie, your cousin, your pastor, sorry, pastor, auntie, I can't vote for you. We're going to have to do this. And then we can wipe away the ashes and build from there. But for us thinking that the Democratic Party is going to do anything for us, they don't like us, they're planning to take us all the way out with our votes. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. Appreciate you coming up in here tonight. Shout out to all you guys. And I think somebody full Negro, I think, because I put up in the Jumbotron, The same one that you were talking about, original Jasmine. He put some paperwork up in there. Maybe I don't know. I know you said you were gonna put something up in there as well too, but he put some paperwork with the actual lady's name. Jasmine Mickens was part of the Open Society Foundation at least in 2017. Is this the one that's located in New York or something? Because it says Institute for the Development of Social Action, the Presidential Group Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, the Brazilian Fund for Human Rights. Could this be the one that you maybe was thinking about also, original?
It's the one. Let me go back to my computer. It's the one. She's from Newark, New Jersey. From part, I think it was Newark, New Jersey, where she's from. But yeah, she's born in Newark, New Jersey, and I didn't get a chance to go all the way through it. Brick City. Jasmine designed and conducted a research project examining the accessibility, available, and cost of a health. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot on her yet, but I'm gonna have to do some more digging. But I think this is her. This is her. Yeah. It says Jasmine Mickens, 18th class, 2011 to 2012, whatever. I think this is for the Congressional Hunger. This is from the Congressional Hunger Center. I think this is her because see, they are involved in organizations like this. I have to look up and see what this Congressional Hunger Center is about. And when you said something about somewhere in South America, what was it, Brazil or something, they do stuff like that. And see what they like to do is they step out there because they know they can represent our pain and suffering and spread that around to people around the world without our permission. No, you do not have that right. You do not have that right to spread our pain and suffering around to every demographic, and we are not benefiting from it. Because these people, I mean, just like what I told you about Big Swole. Big Swole invited the gay fight community into a campaign headquarters and would not show up for a candidate forum for black folks. That's how these people operate. And what she also did, remember that religious freedom thing that came down the pipe here in Georgia? The Republicans approached her about it because both her parents were preachers. But what she did, she ran and told the gay fight folks what was coming, and they started the campaign against it. Now, she's never done that for black folks. Never. And see, this is why it's important that we do whatever we can to block these people, to expose them. Let everyone know that they do not represent us. And let me say this, I'm not against any group. I'm not put it this way, I'm not against any black group of people. But at the same time, it's like you can't continue to think that we're going to connect with you, but then you don't technically, for the most part, I would say, or maybe not the most part, that a lot of you don't want anything to do with us. You look at us with disdain, and that's not acceptable on any level. We can't continue like that. That's not that's disrespecting us. That's why I'm glad that Tyreek is doing this microphone check on hip hop, because I tell you, see, as I said before, on the BBC on one of their video programs, they said that Afrobeat had Black American influence, and people on the continent of Africa went crazy. Said we haven't influenced nothing with them. And I have that 1969 album of Fela, and it documented the people. When he met these people in LA, they said when he came there, they said, we thought when he came there, he was playing Black American jazz. And they said, we thought you would be playing something more authentic, being that you came from the continent. And so they chopped it up and mixed up some music. And when he left America, when he got here, it was called Afro Beats. And when he left, it was called Afro Beats, plural with an S, because he pulled from the Black American experience and music. And see, a lot of people don't like to acknowledge that, but see, that happened. It happened. And it's very well documented. But unfortunately, when it comes to us, everybody got something to say. Everybody got something to say about us. but they don't want us to tell the truth about them, and that has to stop. It has to. And I'll land on that and let someone else come up.
All right, appreciate that, original. Now, last night we had the brother Shaw. Shaw, I believe it was Shaw. He was up in space, and what Shaw was saying that it was a number of things that I guess you had almost a unison of Pan-African ties with Black American, and you had a lot of things that they were doing in the actual community that he was trying to say that it was possible that, hey, there are a bunch of things that that we're not really aware of that's actually going on, that's actually working as well too. So I mean, do you think that's a possibility? I know, for the most part, at this point we're trying to go ahead and take care. You got to take care of home first and foremost. But from what the brother was saying, that there's a number of things that's going on. From, it sounded like he said, from schools to this to that was going on, that, hey, it's showing you that there is a chance, there is a possibility that you could have cooperation, and that you could have joint ventures between Black Americans and other Blacks throughout the diaspora. I'm gonna go ahead real quick, original, and let you let me because I see him up here real quick, got his hands up here, so let me go ahead and let the brother go ahead and speak, and then I'll get right back to you, original.
Greetings to everybody. I'll be very mindful with my choice of words, because yesterday I kind of had to catch myself.
It happens, bro. It happens.
So I think everybody here knows, even though a lot of people get jaded or, conflate things and say stuff out of emotion. But I think that most of us know, especially if you're a little bit older, you know that people are involved in the community doing things. And those people could be all segments of people, can even be other races of people involved in doing progressive things for the community. But I think that everybody would probably agree, especially if you're older, that a lot of the people who we would consider Afrocentric, got something about them that's culture, that's not even, you don't have to call it Pan-African. You're conscious. We used to say conscious, not woke. We would say, oh, he's conscious, she's conscious. That means you're aware of the system, what's going on. You're aware of culture. You're aware of your culture, other people's culture. That's all it is. And when it comes down to it, who's doing the work in the community? Because we need help. The people that are doing stuff, that have that calling to do it, everybody don't have that calling. But that maybe you're not going to take the lead in it. You're going to just, you're going to help raise money with making some cookies or some shit, cookies or something. But I think, though, we look at, proud of us as a unique group of people. And in our uniqueness, we have these things about us that are special, that it wasn't a big deal. It was never a big deal that we have we're of African descent, and we're proud of our African culture, African heritage. And that now I will say that Native American is more, it's newer. It's not new, but it's getting more attention lately, and it's good. The problem, though, is how it's being presented by some groups in Twitter. I think that if it's presented more in a positive light, and there's less negativity and really a denial of Africanness or African culture, anything like that. See, there's a whole thing that goes along with that. And that part turns some people off that don't know much about any of this stuff. They're young. They're 23, 24. They don't really know about a lot of this stuff. So you're going to lose a lot of people like that if it's presented to them and they see people fight. They see us in here cussing each other out, fighting, carrying on. They don't want to have nothing to do with it. But I just want to say that it has always been about building the community and about understanding the big picture meaning the country and the globe, like, Black people wherever we are. And that awareness of wherever we are made you more worldly. It was a sign of intelligence, that you knew something about other places and other people, and that you could talk to other people and have something intelligent to say about where they're from. Oh, I know a little bit about Jamaica because we talked about that in so-and-so group or whatever. I read that in Black Study Club. I read this book. I saw the Browder files. This is all pre-YouTube, all of that. But when these little books came out, or little information was coming out, Colors or whatever it was, with the heavyweights, and then Tariq Nasheed, I didn't know who he was. He was some young dude. Oh, Tariq Nasheed, who's he? And we're getting bits and pieces wherever we are about, awareness about who we are, where we are. Not this whole thing of we always focusing on Africa and we leave out our stuff. That has never been the case. We never left out our stuff. We never left out the accomplishments that we did. And the ones of us who are really into education, we're all in our stuff, And what's interesting is that the people who are talking about, I'm not African, I'm not from Africa, I don't have nothing to do with it, don't study jazz, don't study Lindy Hop. For me, I'm in the arts, right? They don't study Lindy Hop, they don't study jazz, they don't study blues, they don't listen to it, because when in these spaces, I'm asking them, well, what do you know about what we do? Oh, I know about, on their side, history stuff that's related to proving their point about who's who and what happened. That the reason why we've got so much Native American are these points that they're trying to prove. That's their information is around that. And I'm saying some of that is good, but it's not the all in all. We have a whole story that's related to medicine, arts, inventions, ancient history, now some Native American, if that's what your thing is, that's what you want to do. I like the brother Vado, whatever his name is, and his, he did his room yesterday to talk about a lot of the flack and backlash that he was getting for posting his photo. And that brother's whole perspective is on a whole nother vibe. He's on a whole nother page. And he's an example to me and makes me want to know more about my Native American. If it wasn't for him, I'd be like, okay, I'm cool with it. I know I got something somewhere, and that's it as far as that's concerned. But in general, a lot of this talk about reparations, and this is just my opinion, a lot of the talk about the reparations is because it interests people. It is a point of getting involved in something. It is some of us want them, not even some of us, a lot of us, including myself. We want to be repaired. We want to have some money come into our life so that we can move our lives forward in some ways that we couldn't. A lot of us see that. But what I'm also seeing is that it is also takes away, it diverts you from dealing with the problems that we have, where there is no money right there like that. It's about hard work. It's about getting in the community. It's about organizing. It's about volunteering your time. It's about putting a little bit of money up somewhere to do something in a real meaningful way. So all of those types of things it's not talking about money coming into your bank account or, this big win. It's hard work. And I think that a lot of people like myself that were in the trenches, that, we was fighting a good fight, and we got kind of burnt out, and then we come back again. After we refuel, come back in and fight some more. That, to me, a lot of it is people don't want to do that. It's much easier to just focus on something that's going to bring money that can help us to do better. But they're not even talking about what's after reparations. They're not even talking about if we don't get reparations. I'm not hearing those conversations, because then that takes you back to doing the community work that's hard to do.
All right. Appreciate that. Real quick, guys, checking the Jumbotron. We got the YouTube channel up there. Make sure that you subscribe to the Newstoter YouTube channel. For everybody that's on YouTube, make sure that you guys click the notification bell, because YouTube is not sending out the notification. So definitely go ahead and click the notification bell. Share out tonight's broadcast. like it as well. Leave a comment. For those that can support us on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. Once again, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. For those that do not have Cash App, we have the PayPal and Venmo up in the Jumbotron. For those on YouTube, we have the Cash App on the screen, and we have the PayPal and Venmo up in the description. I want to ask you something real quick, Nashar, real quick. Now, I know what you're saying about that, because I'm one that believes that, hey, you don't know how long the reparation game going to be. We may sit in our lifetime. We may not sit in our lifetime. You know, it may not come to your grandkids' lifetime or whatever. And I get what you're saying about the actually putting in the hard work and everything else like that. But don't you believe that you already have people that's in the reparations sphere, that's also involved in community action and community work right now, that's putting in a lot of hard work, but at the same time, they're still, they're still giving attention, and they're still giving a lot of effort to actually trying to get reparations as well too. It's not, there's a bunch of people that, they're definitely pushing everything for reparations, but that's not to say that they're not doing community work. They're not trying to uplift the community. They're not grinding day in and day out. I think you could do both things. I mean, would you agree with that, or you disagree?
I would agree with that, and I also would add to that agreement is that core of people were probably doing other stuff, or in addition, continuing to do those things before they were working on reparations. They were a core of people, and I'm under no mistakes or naivety about that. Organizing people is going to be a core, but to the degree that you can organize like they did in the 60s, if we're organizing on those levels, then we can get more done. We can be about building or whatever we're building. We know what we need. It would be more effective if the more people that are involved. But the part of the problem is that in us organizing, doing these things, we have the sort of opposition who is undoing what we're doing and constantly fighting us to stop us from progressing and doing what we need to do, and propagandizing us, dividing us, doing all these things, got us, all kind of ways, and you can see it because the very thing, one of the things we were doing in the 80s, we're having those same conversations in 2023. Same kind of conversations. That means that we're circling around. And that part is, you can only see that if you live enough life. You can begin to actually see that and not on no books, not on a documentary, but in real time in your life. You can see, oh, damn, we're still at this point. We were dealing with this, So that's the part that is a little disheartening, but you can't let it bother you. But yes, I agree with you. But the problem is that we need more people involved. We need more people that are conscious. And how are you going to be conscious if most of your conversation is about what Africans are doing or what Caribbeans are doing? That means that if your conversation is on what they're doing and what we are not doing or what we should be doing, if your conversation is on what we should be doing, like if Black Twitter was talking about building schools, building independent schools, and we're talking about the school in D.C., or the schools in D.C., the schools in Houston. And then there's other rooms talking about the hospital that they're building over in so-and-so. We raised $1 billion or $50 million to do this. We're not talking about that. Majority of our conversation is talking about immigrants, talking about reparations, which is good. We should be talking about it, but reparations is a straight shot. It's easy. It's clear. We know what it is. We know what we got to do. And even what we got to do is not talked about enough, because those legislators in California that now it's been done, the first part has been done, there's a bunch of lobbying and politicking that needs to go to get those people that need to take it to the next level to take it to the next level. That conversation is not even being had what the people really need to be doing. Instead, we're talking about the freedmen's and the this and the that, and we need to use that. And I'm not saying those conversations are important. They are important because of strategy, But I'm saying we're not advancing that conversation to me, because there's a bunch of steps that have to go down in California for it to come to fruition. So I'm seeing a lot of conversation on stuff that to me is not moving us forward, because this shit is closing in on us, narrowing in on us. They bring in the new niggas in to take up the low labor jobs, and pretty much y'all are obsolete in a way. I mean, this is my thing right here. This is what I'm saying, that we're not a need to the folks that are running this country. And don't be mistaken, it is a group of people that is running this country. It is a small percentage that's running the world and this country. And it doesn't matter whether you're Democrat or Republican, and everybody knows that. You know, we don't control the politics. We don't control the economy, but we could control our local politics, and we could begin to pool our monies together so that we can do the things we need to do, like have a grocery store in our communities, like have girls' rites of passage, boys' rites of passage, having our community centers working right, having funding that they need, tech. I mean, that's a big deal. We need to be on top of the AI, because these white folks have clearly set the future for the world. And we're arguing about Africans and drum beats and, you know, things to me that are not, that you have as a conversation of fun. But this is serious for us. We're arguing with each other and fighting about it. And I'm just missing it, y'all. Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
All right. I appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and get to the hands. Original had his hand up, and then I'm going to get to, I don't know if that's Laji, but I'm going to get to you next. Go ahead, Original. Unmute your mic.
Okay, see, here's the issue. See, it's not that Black Americans were against anyone. Because, see, I just got on Twitter maybe, what was it, last year or the first of this year, whenever. But see, what I have been told by credible people is that when COVID hit, and there was this app called Clubhouse, and they started hearing Africans and Caribbean go into these spaces and speak very pejoratively about Black Americans. Now, we've never done anything to these people, but it seems that they have had an axe to grind with us. But I will tell you, a lot of them, they watch a lot of white TV, and they have a perspective about let me give you an example. I was at some type of African conference at Compton College years ago in Los Angeles. Now, what happened is there were some Africans that came over. We met with them. We had a great conversation about things that we can do, whatever. And so this one guy, he started telling his sister, a Black American sister, he said, you know, I go to my bed alone tonight. And we had to check him, say, hold up, bro, it ain't that kind of party. She didn't come here to go to bed with you. You know, that's how he saw her, as a whore, because of what he'd seen the white people give him. It's like, hold up, now, it's not that kind of party. So, and I used to, this Caribbean guy that worked in maintenance on my job, he's no longer there now, but he would speak, and I had to check him, he would speak very, very pejoratively about Black Americans. And so I'm like, okay, so where's all this vitriol for us coming from? Because that was, well, first of all, that was beyond disrespectful for what the guy did to the sister, telling her that he goes to his bed alone tonight. I mean, come on now. Now, there has to be some give and take going each way. We just can't sit up here and just give, and everybody's taking from us. Now, it was said that Jim Crow Joe gave Africa $55 billion, okay, to the continent of Africa. Now,
Well, you claim to
wait a minute, hold up, I'm talking.
Okay, I don't know who that is. That was a troll. That was a troll. So go ahead, Original. You got it, Original. That was a troll. Can you hear me, Original?
Yeah, give it a second. My, sometimes it's a Wait, double tap the up button like that. Hey, original, you can hear us.
I just unmuted. Let's see, what I'm saying is, Jim Crow Joe gave the continent of Africa $55 billion in aid. Now, black people know that we are suffering all over the world. Now, I have not seen any African head of state say that they would share some of those billions with black Americans to do some things over here. But you see black Americans, you got this Akon guy keep trying to get us to come over there and build and do this and this. We don't have a problem doing that, but we're not going to work with scammers, first and foremost. And see, that's the issue right there. We have given to Africa. Yes, we have. But Africa hasn't reciprocated that to us. And that has to change. So we're not against anybody, but we are going to defend ourselves and so that, we can do what we have to do for ourselves. And so if people can understand that, then we can get on we can have a dialogue and begin to move forward. But see, like I said, when they said these people, the Africans and Caribbeans have had all this vitriol for us on Clubhouse, and then when Black Americans started returning that to them, then they started saying, "Oh, you're divisive, you're xenophobic." But yet, it's not that when they are doing it to us. You can't have it both ways. It's not going to work that way. We're not going to allow that to happen. Just like they would defend themselves, we are going to defend ourselves. I mean, I'm still benefiting from what I learned in some of these Pan-African things that I was involved in back in the 90s. I have African mask. I have a mask of Mansa Musa. I have a prosperity mask, and I forget what the other mask is. I have African, mask in my house. Even to the point where somebody came by my house one time, I had to check them. They said, "Well, I heard they dip those things in blood." I said, "You need to dip yourself out of my house." And see, but it's that we both have to come together. If we both came together, and I know it's what the white folks doing and this, that, and whatever, but I'm gonna get ready to land. But this is just not coming from us. It is coming from the so-called diaspora people attacking us as well, because they've been given false information about us. And I'll land with that.
All right. Thank you, Original. Let me go ahead. DJ, the troll that was in here, did you kick them out? Because they started disconnecting, so I don't know if they left on their own, or did you kick them out?
I'm driving, so
Oh, okay. Okay, because they just came up here, so I didn't know who it was. I thought it was somebody that was ready to speak or whatever. But okay, it was just a troll. Okay. Well, I see we got our friend up here, Double A. What's going on?
Hey, I was going to say, before you let him go, I go in real quick because I'm driving 2 seconds style.
Go ahead.
Make a long story short. So, Shad, that's why I had to rebut it against you yesterday. This is what you keep repeating. When you say we, meaning us Black American, Negro, Freeman, whatever you want to call ourselves, right? Gang, gang. We're not the ones talking about these people. You know what I'm saying? They're talking about us, and have been talking about us for the longest. We think we're cool. No, you're stabbing us in the back, Tether Gang. You know what I'm saying? This is the problem, yo. And it's been going on for well over 40 years, as far as what we know of, or those that actually have an understanding that don't deal with none of this Pan-African babble. We don't care about none of this stuff. I don't understand how our folks was even being indoctrinated by this Marcus Garvey crap. This is a bunch of crap, bro. So with that being said, we ain't never talked about nobody. We never bullied anybody. Most we ever did was, hey, you are African booty scratcher. But we was calling each other that. So why these Africans still upset 30, 40 years later? We've been out of grade school for 30 plus years. They upset still because we don't call them African booty scratcher. Back then, they feelings hurt 30 years later. So these folks have done everything in their power to separate from us, delineate from us, do everything other than really be together and try to patronize and be about Black America. They don't want to do that. No, I'm Haitian, I'm Jamaican, I'm Congolese, I'm this, I'm that, I'm Tanzanian, I'm South African, I'm this, that, and the third. But you everything except Black here, you know what I'm saying? So you ain't got to identify with what it is we're doing, but definitely don't tell our people that we can't say what we want to say about these people when they're the ones that's constantly talking bad about us 24/7, all day, every day. This is the reason why we have spaces even talking about it, because the way y'all be talking about us, Black American is. Y'all saw the new tweet about that other dude today? Oh, I can't stand Black Americans. They're embarrassing. You know, they're not like these Caribbeans. Busta Rhymes, you have no culture here. America had no culture. Who you talking to, Busta? You dusty, son. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about, since you said ADOS, what about when Talib Kweli wrote a whole Medium article saying ADOS is trash? Nobody said nothing to this man, except the folks that was day one real ADOS was going ham getting our accounts suspended over here on Twitter. Real talk. So don't tell us what it is we can and can't say about these people. It's too late. We're the kings and queens of comedy. We will roast your ass. You know what I'm saying? And you know we're not going to shut up about it. You know what I'm saying? So keep the Naka jokes coming, Naka. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Let me go ahead and get to Double A. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
All right, thank you. First of all, let me state this. Excuse me. That I consider your platform as a very serious platform, and therefore I'll give you the respect that you deserve. I've listened to what other panel members have said. What baffles me is the fact that members cannot refrain themselves and understand that you have ignorant fools on both sides. And these ignorant individuals, they play the game of who is whatever. That makes them happy. It excites them. Somebody like me, when you invite me on a platform, I will never discuss matters of which is extremely irrelevant. So what I'm hearing, you are either part of the ignorant individuals, therefore you want to bring it on a higher table of which it is not needed to derail the conversation, or you want to elevate and prove that you're mature, you understand what time it is, and you know what you're about. Then we can have that conversation. I'll move on from there. Now, with regards to the reparation going on, discussion going on, on the continent, i.e., Ghana, Accra to be specific, the purpose of it is to ask those that enslaved, those that colonized, those that brutalized, and continued to prove their barbaric actions towards Black people. Today we have modern day slavery. It's all part of the reason why this reparation movement has started. We all acknowledge this is not the very first time, but of course everything built up to what we have today. I remember way back in 1993 when we had the first Pan-African festival in Ghana, Cape Coast. I was a little kid, where a lot of Black Americans came. I think Isaac Hayes was there. And then they talked more of history, what is going on, what is required, the brotherhood at that moment between those in the Caribbean, those on the continent, and those in the United States. It was a good feeling of which it's been built and built to what we see today. Indeed, what they are doing in Accra, it's together with the Caribbean and Black Americans. I'll say it one more time. What it's going on in Ghana, it's the combination of those on the continent, Caribbean, and Black Americans. The purpose is to do a thorough research, come out with the true and the real fact of what transpired over a period of centuries till today. Therefore, they're going to come out with a position on it. It includes those in academia, those in the traditional setup, i.e. the chieftaincy institutions, and other scholars worldwide who have something to do with this reparation movement. And that is what it is all about. It is going to provide an avenue for the world to know what really happened with slavery. I don't discuss slavery. I just don't, because it's different from what you hear on the left and what you hear from the right. It is not going to it's not going to be about the United States. It's going to be everything about Europe. It's going to be anything about North America. It's going to be anything about anyone who, one way or the other, had a hand in colonizing brutalizing, murdering, and stealing the resources, because they did not take just the human resource, they stole the minerals as well. And there are facts. When I say fact, I mean hardcore facts that has never ever been in any academic curriculum for discussion. So it's going to open a lot of worms for all of us to know what really happened with slavery. Whether you want to call it slave trade, let's wait and see what the outcome would be. Whether you want to call it servitude, let's wait and see. So we can learn from it and make the right demand. So we are going to come out with one collective mind, one collective voice, and speak on an issue and make the right demands. I know it's going to go to the EU, i.e. European Union. It will be on the United Nations table. It's going to be on the American table, and all other stakeholders who have something to do with it. That's the purpose of this particular conference. So I will yield the mic and engage further. But the pertinence, I don't want to discuss it because it is extremely irrelevant as to who said what, and I am black and who is white. It's immaterial. I don't want to discuss it. And I think that your platform is a higher stake, and people would have to respect it for what it is. I yield the mic.
All right, thank you, Double A, and we're gonna move the conversation around as well too. And I want to get some so we got a new speaker up here, so I want to get some people to come up here and speak as well too. We want to get as many people to come up here and just give us their opinion on the situation as well. Let me give a shout out, and I think give a shout out to this brother because he always supports 400. Thank you for your contribution on Cash App. Definitely appreciate that. Let me go ahead and get to the sister No Taxation. No Taxation, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing the same as I was last night.
Well, it's good to hear. It's good to hear from you. So
Yeah, it's the holiday season, so I'm trying to, death is just a breath away for us all, right? And we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. So every day I have decided to make the most of it, and including the evenings and the nighttime. So anyway, hope everybody in the room is doing well. Here's my thing. I grew up different, and I realize that now, not just because of my father's position. A lot of people in this room know, and the people that were in my mother and father's home while I was growing up. So I was sitting at the feet of probably the most gifted people in Black America. But I grew up blackety black. We didn't have pictures of white people in the house. We didn't have, and my mother was an artist, so everything she did was surrounded by black stuff. Black American, black. That's actually how I grew up. So we never intersected with people from other countries in that way. And so I don't know anything about Africa. The only thing I know is that I'm light-skinned, and I heard they eat light-skinned people over there, and it's too European for them, and all this other kind of stuff. I don't know if it's true or not, but I ain't got no business over there. I'm keeping my black ass on. So, oops, sorry, dude. But you understand what I'm saying? So, I mean, when you talk about enslavement in America, of course we know where that originated, where those people originated from. That's not hard to say anymore. And this conference that they're having, on one hand, people are coming in the room yesterday and saying that this man who is the president or the head of Ghana is a shyster, and that he pockets money and keeps people poor. And then you have, on the other hand, other people saying that, he's doing a good deed. So who knows? Time will tell. Time will tell. And so that's how I look at it. As far as people, bickering back and forth, y'all know I don't get down like that. I could care less. I stay in my lane. I don't bother nobody, and I don't want nobody bothering me. And people don't usually bother me because they know I don't stand for foolishness. So I don't have that problem. And I don't go into those rooms where people are disparaging others. I don't care if they come from this country or another country. I just don't do it because it's number one, it's not productive. The other thing about it is, why would you want to put that in the universe and in your spirit? It just don't make sense to me. We have enough trouble of its own. Life gives us enough trouble of its own without us having to go seek it. I'm of that opinion, and that's the way I was raised. So that's that. And I understand what Shah was saying, because the workers are few. And when you're in the trenches, it's very difficult. It's very hard. And so, dealing with people in poverty, like I did for all those years, and calling them my clients, and dealing with Black folks that are disabled in poverty in the Deep South. I mean, I've seen things that probably nobody in this room has seen or experienced, and how to help them. And it's very situational. So I understand where Shah is coming from in some respects, because it does get tired and it does get old, and you see people that could be doing so much more with that time that they're devoting to bickering and arguing and fussing and fighting for things that really don't matter. You say to yourself, wow, all of that time could have been better spent doing something else. Take an hour out of your week and donate it, volunteer it somewhere. 1 hour a week, start there. That should be something that everybody, Black Americans, should be able to do. Take your lunch hour, do whatever you need to do. Where you putting your money at? Who are you following? What's important to you? How's your mindset? That culminates into a quality of life. And that's very important for Black folks. The only thing, Shah, I want you to and I know you know it, it just gets hard to remember it, is that we've always done for self. That ain't nothing new with us. Because we had to, and we have to. We have to do for self. And we do that every day, every week, 24/7, 365. And we can do all of that, laugh and joke, talk smack, and fight for reparations, because we're those people. We're the most hated, the most loved, the most copied, the most feared, the most, we would like to believe, the most spiritual, because what we have endured was the most, our ancestors was the most atrocities that humankind had ever seen before. They said that other man was running around chopping people's limbs off, but what were they doing to us? Far worse. Cutting babies out of our stomachs and stuff like that, then hanging us, letting our entrails just let everybody see it, then they take a picture and then they sell it. And those are the people that are the people that we fight today. The people that gun us down in the streets, people like that. And so we are those people, and we do have that, and we can do both. We have to do both. We don't have a choice, because at this point in Black folks' lifetime, in Black Americans' lifetime, this is about survival now. Because I believe after I'm dead and gone, there's only going to be a remnant anyway, and that will be the remnant that gets paid. But I want y'all to remember and think back to what I said, because when we talk about reparations in this country, we're talking about us specifically and nobody else. I'm talking to my people now. And we can't lose sight of that fact. And I want y'all to remember, and I say this all the time, I haven't said it in a while, but, where I left it when I was on the Hill before COVID was I was asked the question, who do we pay? So they know they owe. But they didn't have clarity at that particular time on who they needed to pay. They have that clarity now. See, it's clear now. Books have been written. Y'all have delineated. Y'all drew the lines in the sand, and thank God for it. So, now they know who they have to pay. And so that we should not be, in my opinion, we should not be fussing and fighting with people from another country that can do very little, next to nothing, to get us where we need to be as a whole and as one-on-one individuals. And that's just true tea. And the ones that are over here that are speaking about it are not the ones that we need to be talking to anyway. because they over here. Because the only thing we should be talking to people from other countries about is trade, business, commerce. That's it. That's all we got in common. And so if they're here, they can't help us do anything in their country because they ain't even over there. See? And so, let's just continue to stay together. We don't have to fuss and fight amongst each other, but certainly not from people from another country that can't do anything for us. They can't help us in any way. They're not marching with us. They're not protesting with us. They're not out in the streets with a megaphone talking about black folks need reparations. They ain't doing that. They in spaces. And that's just what that is. And so you have to take it and leave it at the same time, And, the holidays are coming. They said that more black women, I don't know if y'all read the article, I should have posted, but I said people don't really want bad news all the time. More black women die from strokes because of racism.
Yeah, that's the article I posted yesterday. I remember you responded to it.
Yeah. Isn't that something, y'all? So every time you all go into these rooms or create rooms where you want to, cut a fool and act bad and talk smack and all that kind of stuff, that's just another avenue that racism has created for our demise. So when you filling yourself up with anger, and when you're feeling and throwing anger out into the universe, just remember that racism causes strokes, black women. And epigenetics is here. Our genes are already traumatized. We come into the world traumatized. And so don't traumatize yourself, And I'm going to leave it right there because I could go on and preach. So I'm going to leave it.
Thank you, No Taxation. I want to add real quick before I get to the new speaker. I'm glad that you mentioned that article. I put that article out, and I think maybe 400 or 500. It got 400 or 500 views on there, but not one person clicked and actually read the entire article. So that's why I say it's important, guys, to go ahead and go to Newstoter and actually read the articles. Read the articles. You'll get the excerpt on Newstoter. You'll get the entire article on the parent site, one of our curation partners. Show some support. Go to the actual website and read the actual articles. That's another thing with our people now. Like if it ain't on video, whatever, nobody wants to read anymore. And, being a parent, I can definitely say that you have to get on your kids and read and stuff. But our own people don't want to read, don't want to support, don't want to go to actual sites. So as all this stuff that we're talking about building and this and that or whatever, it's hard to get black folks to support black business, to be real. And that means just even going to the site, actually just clicking the article that you've already viewed on Twitter, but you say, you know what, I don't want to take that extra effort, even if it's just to read the excerpt and say, you know what, I'm not going to even go to the parent site. I'm going to just go to Newstoter to read the excerpt and I'm going to go back to Twitter. We can't get our folks to do that either. So trust me when I say it's frustrating, and I know we're talking about, building and this and that. It ain't that easy. We're gonna have to show a little bit more want to go ahead and get it there. Just to go ahead and not to get off the topic or whatever. But when Sister No Taxation said that, I said this article and I said, well, damn, all the black women that be in the space and all the black women that come across this article, you think they would go ahead and check it out and actually see. And you say, you know what, Tota, I read that article, and even if you go to the website and you say I couldn't click, I clicked to read more because some of y'all phones and stuff like that, you got to disable your pop-up blocker. Your pop-up blocker is stopping you from going to the actual parent site. So I'm just giving you that heads up. It's your phone, it ain't the site. But you would think some of the black women would be like, you know what, I saw that article, and you know what, that really got to me or whatever. But it's just one of those things, guys. So like I say, support. I tell everybody every time we have these spaces, go visit newstoter.com. If it ain't for about 20 seconds on the site, it's free to go to the actual site. Go to the site, surf around, and then come back to Twitter, go back to Facebook, go back to Instagram, go back to that. At least you're supporting black business. And not only are you supporting black business, you're supporting a black business who curates news from dozens of other black businesses. So you're supporting a black business who supports other black businesses for free. Think about that. Let me go ahead and get to the new speaker. Is that DeLon?
Yeah, it's Dylan Brooks.
Dylan Brooks?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because I don't see the I, but okay, Dylan, go ahead.
Yeah, much. This is the first time I say thank you getting on the space, but I do respect your platform, Newstoter. So
Well, I appreciate that, brother. Thank you.
you're welcome. Yeah, I'm very serious. Yeah. I just wanted to start by saying, I heard the sister, no taxation. She was speaking like right now. Even though I agree with a lot of things she said, I just wanted to just ask her when it comes to like when she mentioned, I'm sorry, the cutting off limbs and how it was worse here. Just as victims, all of us of these things, we should try and avoid ranking the sufferings, right? Because you can care more about the suffering here because you're directly impacted. That is normal. But when we get into the ranking, a lot of times, what it does is that there's all those things, right? Even from coming from an African that underestimates what you've been through, it's all the same things that stop people from really getting to understand each other. Because if you take the Congo alone, it was 10 million people that were killed. It's a lot, and that's one country. And we can go on and on and on. And a lot of the things that they were doing here, they were doing there too. Now, I just wanted, from there, I want to move on to when the brother was, WPI was speaking earlier, and he was talking about how Africans, how we have delineated a while back and stuff like that. It's a conversation that comes back all the time, but I just wanted to, I never even talked about it, but I think people have to also understand that when you are among people that don't share the same home with you, like live in the same place as you, it's just normal human behavior to rep where you're from, especially in America, right? All these type of immigrants, right, from the Europeans, even from way back then till today, you're going to see the Italians, they rep Italy. You see how the Irish, they have their days here and all that. They rep where they're from. So it's the same with Africa. Even if you go on the continent, African Americans that are in Ghana, they rep the United States. They're African American, Black American, whatever. They're proud of where they're from. It's just normal. It's just normal. Even on this app and off the app, right? You hear all the time people say, "Hey, yeah, I'm from the South," or "I'm from Chicago." People rep where they're from when they're among people that are not where they're from. This is not delineation. This is just normal human relationships. That's just how things go. It does not mean that, even though now I'm in favor of delineation, let me make that clear. Because I got on this app and I heard a lot of the arguments and how people wanted to delineate. And frankly, I support that. If you want to, what do they say? Disaggregate the data and, know who's who and all that. I really don't have a problem with that. But when we do those things, a lot of times people, unfortunately, wanting to talk, for example, about Black immigrants or African immigrants, we get into talking about the poor African on the continent. They don't even have TV. They may not know what the hell is going on in America. That does not. It's not even in your business, not one bit. But then a lot of times we hear some of the worst things, right? And that is not cool. And I also want to make it clear that just like he said that how some people are still mad for being called African British scratcher, and anybody that uses those things, for example, to disparage or disrespect Black Americans, is just a liar, right? It's not. There's no. These are little things. Anything ever else, right? Just you as a grown man, you cannot. There's no excuse to be like. So yeah, there is, because I know even amongst us, there's a lot of anti-Black people, right? Among African immigrants or Black people, whatever, that are not from here. There are a lot of anti-Black people. I'm not going to deny it. But a lot of times, what we do is we take those people and then we make it, just like I've heard some of the worst things about my people on this app. And imagine I take it and say, oh, yeah, that's how all Black Americans feel. They do this. They say that all the worst things, despicable things, where people wanted the continent to be bombed and erased. Black people on this staff, right? So we got to be careful with that. I'm gonna stop here because I had one last point, but I forgot. I'm gonna let it go. Maybe it'll come back. But thank you for letting me talk.
Okay, no problem. Appreciate that. I want to and I'm gonna get back to no taxation. I'm gonna get to original as well too. And, Shaw, this question is for you and for Double A. Just in your personal opinions, neither one of you can answer it, or both of you can answer it. You know, with the actual Pan African Conference going on over there on reparations in Ghana at this point in time, do you see a point? Do you see a possibility that a potential partnership could possibly form with Black Americans and Africans on the continent? Do you see that as something that's on the horizon, or do you think that's just a pipe dream?
Can I also respond when they're done?
Yeah, that's fine.
To that question. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, I'll put my little 2 cents in first if I can up here. I think that we can do what we want to do. I mean, I can say historically that has been not only talked about, but that has been written about. I was a young 22, 3-year-old, and I was joined this work circle, study circle, and we read all of these books, really powerful books, Frantz Fanon, Walter Rodney, How Europe to Develop Africa, Instructions of Black Civil. This was the reading material we were reading. And the organization was called the All African People's Revolutionary Party. It was founded, I guess, by Stokely Carmichael, and it was on a lot of college campuses. They had these study circles. You weren't part of the organization, you were just part of the study circle. So this Pan-African whole idea is old, but African-American involvement in it is old as well, but it's something that's been, going on for a while, how we can be involved. And then my professor was just talking the other night. He went to Tanzania. A group of African-Americans went to Tanzania, met with Julius Nyerere, who was the president of that time, did some work in Tanzania in the 60s. So we've been involved with doing things over the last 50 years or maybe more. We've been involved in doing things in different countries. So the foundation is set, but we can go right, we can go left. Some of us are going to be involved in that effort because of how we grew up, our interests, the culture we grew up in, what our parents was into. We're going to be involved in that conversation, and even those of us who may not understand it, because when I hear the conversations coming from my people in this country, it's really based on it's ignorance. They don't really know, and the things that they say is based on ignorance. So the things I hear African folks saying or Caribbean folks saying that are ignorant, that is just, they need to be educated. I don't expect African Americans to educate Africans or Caribbeans when they don't even know themselves. And even if they do know, then I think they have a responsibility in a small way or a large way to try to educate folks and let them know this is what it is. This is why we, are dealing with this division, or they think this about us. When I was in Africa, they told a story. Now, I wasn't at the story, but it was told to me that the brother that lived in Nigeria, he just passed away recently. He's probably in his 80s. This was in 1988 when I was there. And they're telling me the story about how he went to this little village called Ejigbo, and how they told a story about when they came and took the people, their family, their members. And the little boy is translating in Yoruba to the African Americans about how they came in and they remembered, they passed the story down. And by the time the boy had finished, everybody in the room was in tears. And this is the kind of stories that we don't know about because we just haven't had that kind of contact. But they remember us. They talk about us. I was in the Congo. That was when I was in the Congo. Sister in the cab with us. My teacher's with me, and he's talking to her, and she's like, she didn't know where I was from because I didn't say anything. She thought I was Congolese. She said, she looked at me and she said, she's speaking in French, and she asked my teacher, well, why are we still in the United States? When are we coming back home? And she was just, just sincere. I could tell it wasn't like a joke. So, he said whatever he said, but he translated to me that. So there's these types of things that have happened that we don't know about. And of course, those are just anecdotal. Those are my experiences. But I need to let y'all know that some of them haven't forgotten us, and that it's something. It was a big deal. All of those people having left out of there is people's families. And many of those people still, that resonates with them. Some don't even know about it at all. They don't even know that the slave trade, now I would say, literally, but there's a lot of people that know very little bit about it. I would say that much. But there's some that know about it because they kept the story. So I'll land on that. I don't know if I answered your question, but I'm going to land there because it's a long submission.
All right. I know it's a question, and like I said, I'm just trying to see because I know you're a Pan-African, and you got Double A. He's from Africa, and you got Dylan. That he's also an African as well too. So because I'm just trying to see what the whole idea of Pan-Africanism, and there was a time that I think the vast majority of Black folks in this country believed in it. I think the vast majority had a hope for it. Even because we have to remember sometimes when we're talking about. And I know sometimes we look at the college campuses and we want to talk about in the 60s that the actual Black people that was on college campuses and stuff, but the actual young Black people that were in the 60s that was on college campuses, they weren't the majority of Black people in this country. You had a whole bunch of Black people in this country. I'm in the South, who knew nothing really about international politics and everything that went on as well too. There are a lot of Black people in the South that knew nothing about Marcus Garvey. There are a lot of Black people in the South, who barely, with the media coverage, living in the South, you heard about Malcolm X and stuff like that, but they weren't really into Malcolm X even like that. They were more so into the Southern civil rights leaders and stuff in the South as well too. So, when we hear about the Pan-Africanism and stuff, and I learned a lot more about it as I've got older. And I hear Dr. John Cleary, Dr. Clark, who was a great man as well too. And one thing Dr. Clark said was that he always talked about the possibility of Black Americans and Black people throughout the diaspora uniting and this and that or whatever. But the one thing I've always had an issue with, and I know people say that, Africa's under neo-colonialism rule, but since the vast majority of the people in Africa, you have your own governments and military and everything else as well too. And Dr. Clark felt, well, hey, if they could come ahead and you could unite with the actual Black people who have the training, who's in the armies and everything else, you could have this marriage made in heaven or whatever. But I've never seen the actual political leaders. I've never seen the presidents and everything in Africa and some of these major countries say, you know what, we want to form partnerships. And I know you have some partnerships with some of the HBCUs and stuff, but not nearly the way you would think it would be. But I've never seen, the actual presidents of Africa and everything else, really reach out to Black America. Oh, for that matter, even the folks in the diaspora, even the Caribbean people as well, the way you would think that they actually could, meaning that they have the actual resources, they have the actual land, they have everything that you would need to sustain and improve upon life and whatnot. But, nobody knows white folks better than Black people in this country. Now, I know people say, well, you assume. No, I'm not assuming, because you actually were born in the beast of the belly. No other group of diaspora in the world had the kind of, relationship, if you want to call it, with white America or with white folks the way Black people in this country had. So you would think that they would say, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead. Let's get with these people here. You know, they're when you look at, and I know people come here and and that's another thing that kind of throws the conversation off, because people and white folks are good for doing this. I understand that. They'll say, well, you know, Nigerians are more educated than Black Americans. Nigerian Americans are more educated than Black Americans. Caribbean Americans are more educated than Black Americans. But here's a simple fact: as an actual group, when we start doing this right here, and we're not talking about taking a few 100,000 people, even a million, and comparing them to 40 some odd million. When we look at the actual diaspora, Black Americans are probably the most educated Black people in the world. They're probably the most literate group of Black people. And I'm not comparing them to a few I'm talking about when you look at the actual population of Black America compared to these other nations and stuff like that. You're talking about people who've been training and been in the armies and everything else, who know, I mean, who have skills and stuff. They're the most trained, the most skilled, and everything else. So why wouldn't, you know, some of these leaders reach out to Black Americans and say, you know what, it's only fitting, because now and that's one thing I want to ask you about this whole reparation thing. Like, and I know Double A was saying that he was talking about Europe's pardon and everything else as well too, and what Europe needs to do this, and they have to pay that. But are any of those African leaders going to say, you know what? I believe that even though we're demanding this from Europe, the Black people in the diaspora, the ones in South America, North America, the Caribbean, they deserve to have something. We need to set something aside solely for them, and they don't need to jump through hoops and red tape and this and that. They don't need to come out here and open their wallet. Since we're all one people, and we believe globally that we're one people, that those are African people in another part of the world. Those people were also stripped of their birthright, stripped of their heritage, their lineage, and all this other stuff. We're going to go ahead and we're going to let them form their own communities, their own societies. Yes, they're still part of the great one, but they're going to have their own land that they would have had they not been enslaved. Like, I don't hear that. And then we can work together. We can start working and forming our own education systems. We can start forming our own agriculture systems. We can start our own medicines and technology and this and that. We've never seen that. We've never seen that when, like I say, you actually have the population, you actually have the land, you actually have the resources, you have all of this stuff right here. Because the one thing that people always say, well, you know, Black Americans, y'all ain't got no home. That's one of the things people always, oh, you don't have no home. You don't have any place to go. Yet at the same time, you're saying you don't have a home, you don't have a place to go, this and that, but you're saying that this is our home right here. You know, we just don't know it. You know, this is where you come from, and this is your blood and this and that. But at the same token, and that's not saying that's every African, I want to get that out, but so many of them say, yo, you guys don't have any heritage, you don't have any place to go, you don't have any home, this and that or whatever. Why wouldn't, at the time that you had the civil rights, and at the same time you had the African countries fighting for their independence throughout the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and all of this time, the 90s, why has there not been, you know, this true a Pan-African brotherhood to say, you know what, we're going to do this right here. We're going to do it the right way, because we see what happened. You know, these Europeans came over here in America. They killed each other for all the time over here in Europe. Even when they came to Africa and they started colonizing, they were fighting over lands and stuff over there as well too. You know, they were killing each other over there. Europe, they fought left and right. They fought left and right in Africa so they can go ahead and get it. Even when they started dividing the continent up, you still had skirmishes, you still had fights and stuff like that. You had all kind of wars on this continent as well. You had them in South America when Spain came over here. They were the first power to start colonizing, taking stuff. And then the British and everybody else, the French, say, you know what? The hell with that. We want that as well too. And all hell broke loose. Finally, as this country started to get founded and everything else, they say, you know what? Let's just stop fighting. You know, we'll go ahead and we'll do this whole white thing. You know, even though I've been kicking your behind for the past 300-400 years, I don't like you. I've never liked you. But you know what? To keep all this drama down, because hey, this land here is overflowing with riches. We'll say I'm white. I'll say you're white, and we'll just go ahead and we'll just start taking the riches and this and that or whatever. So that's my thing. Why haven't the actual people in Africa, the actual heads of states, the people in government, all of these people right here say, you know what? If we're truly, and we want to do this Pan-African thing, and we truly, you know, we want to have this unification or whatever, because we're reaching out to the likes of China, we're reaching out to all these other people getting in debt and everything else, and they're sitting up here simply for the fact that they want to enrich themselves. Every group of people that's come over here, from the Muslims to the Asians to the whites, have all had one thing in mind: how we can fill our coffer with the riches over here in this land right here. So why not go ahead and unify with this people right here that we know, is a tough group of people. They've seen it all. They've been through it all. They're resilient. And like you say, they really have no backing or whatever. Why not? Why wouldn't we, with the population and everything else, why wouldn't we help them back? Like, I just never understood that. Like, to me, that would have been like the most perfect thing or whatever. And we don't see that happening yet. And it's still to this day, we're talking about a Pan-African conference and stuff like that. But exactly what can, and I'm not just speaking about Black Americans, what can the actual reparations, we're talking about what Europe can give, but what can actually the African, nations that took part in the actual slave trade, what can they do to go ahead and say, you know what, to the Caribbean Blacks, to the South American Blacks, to the North American Blacks, to any Blacks that got shipped over there in Europe and any other parts of the world or whatever, you know what? We apologize to you ourselves, and let us not only apologize, but let us make this right. Let us go ahead and give you this right here, and not tell you that you got to come over here and we got to check your bank account and we got to check who can vouch for you, this and that or whatever. Let us go ahead and set this up. Let us go ahead and start setting up actual settlements and stuff like that, where you can come here with useful land, not land that's not worth anything. And y'all go ahead and we work together and this and that, and we build this. We can build an international global. You ain't got to come over here and live if you want to. For those that want to come, you're welcome. But for those that don't want to come, that want to stay in America, yet you're still entitled to this. You're still going to get this. You're still going to be an investor. You're still going to be something in this or whatever. We don't hear that. So I just want to understand, like, it ain't, and you know what I'm saying? You don't have to write a check. You got the land and everything else. And you know what I'm saying? You could actually go ahead and put that in play. And I personally believe it would be for the betterment, but I don't ever see that happening. And I just want to understand if it's really about brotherhood, if it's really about, challenging the status quo, the European powers and stuff like that, why not go ahead and put that into effect?
Can I answer that?
I can answer that.
Let's no taxation. Let me get one of the African brothers or one of the Pan-African brothers to go ahead and answer this first.
Yeah. Sister, I'm sorry, but thank you, Newstoter. That what you just said right now to land is the same thing I believe, right? It's what is the best thing to do. And trust me, a lot of us on the continent that are Pan-Africanists actually ask us, we've been asking ourselves the same question. That is actually one of the fundamentals of Pan-Africanism. But at the same time, right, you understand, if those leaders, African leaders had done those things, that would have meant that they were, they were doing good, right? They were smart. And if they were doing that good, Africa wouldn't be where it is right now. It's because for the longest, it's evaluated at more than 30 African leaders that were Pan-Africanists that were assassinated. It's 30. So there were those that have always supported the unification of Black people and giving opportunity and opening the doors to the Black people outside of the continent. A lot of those people have been killed, and those that are alive are not even leading the country. If you take most of the country, especially that are doing so bad, none of them, even the ones that are doing good, none of those leaders are Pan-Africanists. Pan-Africanism is actually fighting on the continent just as much, if not more, than we are fighting outside of the continent. So there's a constant battle going on. But I agree with you. The best way is to say, hey, to work together and invite. Because, for example, when you say, well, you have land, you have minerals, you have resources, why are you not inviting? You have armies and stuff like that. That's the same thing. Even right now, as we speak, the battle for freedom in the Sahel region in West Africa is going on. Burkina Faso over the past couple of years has lost 10,000, right? 2 million refugees in a small country. So people are fighting to get the shit back. And right now we're recuperating the resources and everything. Because we have a president and a prime minister, for example, in Burkina Faso, that are Pan-African. So it's little by little that people are fighting. We've had a hard time, man, on the continent alone, just to be able to get into power and control and advance a more Pan-Africanist ideology. But every time people have been killed, and so it's not like those that are on the continent that are saying, hey, we are Pan-Africanists. It's not like they have the authority, the power to do it. That's why there's uprisings in a lot of countries where the people are taking over and giving it to the army that a lot of the time is led by, a certain Pan-Africanist ideology, right? When our president in Burkina Faso kicked out the French army, last month he took back the sugar production chain that was controlled by the French, just last month. And then last week he took back 4 gold mines from, French companies, multinationals. So it's not something that, it's something that people, Sankara had tried to do that and they killed him. He came to America. He spoke at the United Nations and he did not go to the White House, but he went to Harlem to talk to the black people. That was in '86, right? So if you take Kwame Nkrumah, you have a lot of those leaders that have done what they could to unify our people, but they got murdered. So yes, if the leaders in Africa right now were doing what you suggested, which is the best way to go and which is what Pan-Africanism supports, we would all be doing better. But unfortunately, we have a lot of goons, a lot of people that are bought for, a lot of people that are cowards and that are so scared to die or to not be billionaires and build castles in Europe and steal from the people and do shit like that they're just willing to submit to the white man. So that's why it's not going on. And to talk to the what's going on right now in Ghana, I can say the president of Ghana is somebody that's always he's shown particular engagement, right, towards African Americans and just African outside of black people outside of the continent. So
now we had the brother yesterday, not to cut you off, the brother that Nana that was in there yesterday, he feels that that the president of Ghana is basically a shyster, is from what he was telling everybody up in the space yesterday.
Yes, you're right. You're contradicting me here, and I have my issues with him too, right? Even the freedom going on in Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, he was supporting an intervention in Niger to put the Kun president that's controlled by the French back. So I have my issues with him. I'm just talking about when it comes to the topics. See, there's all these complications that sometimes you don't even know who is who. Because what you just said is relevant too. I consider him like that. But one thing also that I've noticed is that when it comes to the situation of African Americans, I don't know any president on the continent that has spoken more about you guys and making it easier for you guys than him. So I'm in this conflicted place where I don't agree with him in certain things. So I really don't know. I don't know him all that much. Maybe Apia, who is here, is Ghanaian. He knows better. But yeah, I agree with what you said. But I still support that he actually is trying to do something that will involve you all,
All right. Thank you. I want to get Double A's opinion about what I just said as well, too. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Man, thank you very much. Yeah, with regards to why African leadership is not connected with Black Americans in the diaspora. Like my fellow brother stated, in the 60s, 70s, and beginning of the 50s, they assassinated all the leaders that were on the front line of Africans, right? They tried to shelve it, they tried to kill it, but the spirit and soul of the people always rages on. And therefore, today what we see is what is happening in Accra is a true testament, manifestation of what Pan-Africanism is all about. Where black folks worldwide come together and find ways of which we can empower each other. Like I said earlier, what's going on in Accra includes the Caribbean. Okay, it includes the Caribbean and other black folks worldwide, from Brazil, actually, so they're all part of what is going on today. It is very symbolic. It is very symbolic. Therefore, and including Black Americans as well, they are in Ghana right now as part of this particular conference. So it is long overdue, but we thank our ancestors for making it possible. Thing is, back in the days, what happened was this, all right? When the movement was growing, it became a concern to the powers that be, and therefore they wanted ways of which they could destroy it. So if you check Malcolm X and the rest of them, they traveled to the continent. They put a tag on them, right? The CIA put a tag on them, said they are a threat to national security. Beyond that, in the 80s and in the 90s, if you follow the media, what were they being portrayed? The rest of the continent were put out here just to get people to lose confidence and hope of ever thinking of connecting with their brothers on the continent. So it is not a matter of just saying that, Africans deliberately or Black Americans for a purpose chose to stay off. It was the system that designed a program to kill the confidence and the connection. You and I know very well that if Black folks should come together today with Black boys, what does it mean? It's a game over for other folks. It is a game over for other folks. So what do you expect that they're going to do? Exactly what we're seeing today. Exactly what we saw yesterday. But beyond that, my brother, what I would say is this, right? It's a gradual process. We are building to that point. It's a matter of us seeing beyond what we were told yesterday. It is 2023. We know better now. Are we going to be left behind and leave others to go? Look at reparations that the United States has paid to other countries. They had to pay because of their own interest. They had to pay because of their own interest. I don't like talking too deep into these things because, this is a public space. However, will the United States, that's a question though, if the United States decides to pay reparations to Black Americans, will they consider it that, listen, when we pay it, it is in our own interest, or, you know what, we don't think that it's worth the payment. However, when it comes to the continent, and I want you to listen to carefully, okay? Africa has leverage. Africa has strong leverage in terms of the resources. Whose interest would it be if Africa decides that, all right, moving forward, we're going to deal with those in the East? Who are those going to lose most? Therefore, they will to begin to listen. And we are not in a unipolar world no more. It's a multipolar or bipolar, you want to call it whatever. Therefore, everybody got options. So Africa is using its leverage, i.e. resources, to call the shot. What it means is, if they finish with their document and they present it to the United States and member states look at it, you dare say no. You dare say no, because when you say no, you know what it means. Because now you have the whole Black folks speaking with Black voice. They are coming back with their own resources. If I am dealing with you and you need something from me, it's high time you begin to also pay me back what you've done in the past. So it's going to be an interesting thing for us to see. It's happening in our lifetime. And I believe that at that moment, it will connect the dots, and those that believe in Pan-Africanism will reign. And I'll leave it right there.
All right, thank you. So we got a new speaker up here. Before I get to the new speaker, guys, definitely for those that can contribute on Cash App, $Newstoter, Newstoter was able to get one person to donate. Let's see if we can get 2 or 3 other people to donate at least $1 to the actual platform. At least $1. If you got $1 that you can donate to the platform, it is greatly appreciated. $Newstoter, $Newstoter. If you do not have Cash App, we have the Venmo and PayPal up in the actual Jumbotron. For those that's on YouTube, we have the Venmo and PayPal up in the description. Let me go ahead real quick. I'm gonna get to no taxation. We got a new speaker up here, John. Let me go ahead and see what John has to say as well. John, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, what's going on, bro? Hey, can you hear me? Everything good?
Yeah, I can hear you pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. And DJ, shout out to you, DJ. You know, we got to talk about some DJ. I ain't forget about you, bro. You know where I'm at. I know what's going on, and you know, a lot of things been going on, but I'm definitely glad to hit you in the DM, chop it up with you, bro. But the whole thing, what made me the most pissed off about this whole shit is
hey, everybody, try not to curse as well, too, guys. But go ahead, John.
I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry.
My Jersey brother, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, bro. Doing good. I'm just trying to, you know, Black American life, trying to survive out here. You know how it is, trying to
County, man.
you know, trying to it didn't weed, but you know, we still here. But I think, you know what, I gotta get you first, Apaya. Apaya, you know I run you down on every space because you're in Ghana. Why don't you? You're in Ghana. You feel like you're always in the space talking about, oh, we need to do this for Black Americans. We need to do this. For some reason, I've never seen you open up one space and invite Ghanaians in to talk about how they can help us and help themselves. I've never seen that space. You just keep coming into our spaces talking about stuff you don't know about because you're not of us. We don't know you. We don't know you. Don't descend from you. You don't but. All right, start with that. Now I gotta get at my bro Shot. I get at you, Shot. I know you're an older guy. I know that you put work in the 70s and 80s. You made it clear to me. I know you said my mom wasn't around in the 70s to put in that work. She was there. She was there, but after she went through her little Afro freeze in 71, she was like, I don't. And then we're talking about a time where it was not Afro or Caribbeans around. See, my mom was born in 1955, Shot. My mom was born in 1955 in Passaic, New Jersey. She went to a high school called Nutley, New Jersey, majority white high school too. It's the 60s, 70s, early 70s. She was raised by white. You already know. You know, it was a whole bunch of Anglos and Italians, Irish, white immigrants, Italian immigrants, and Anglo immigrants was in that school. And she was like probably one out of, she probably was like 4 or 5 black. My 2 uncles, her, and maybe like 4 or 5 other black children was in that school. And the other school, the whole school was white. She was dealing with racism you can't believe, bro. Like she was dealing with, my uncles had to fight Italians every day. They didn't see no African or Caribbean. We don't know you guys. Like, we don't know you. So when you come into our spaces talking about this and that, and especially from the diaspora, I have nothing against the diaspora. What I do have something against is the tetherness and the kind of entitlement when you feel like you just jumping out space because you moved to America and don't have no blood ties into the soil. What's going on here? I'm highly offended by that. And you know what, you said something too, Shai. You said that when you went to Nigeria in 1988, they took you to some village that was not by Lagos, all the way out in the countryside, you know, where they were quote unquote Yorubas. And that kid told you the story about how his family got sold and he made you cry. What the Yorubas didn't tell you is that just like Black Americans, they have sub-ethnicities of their tribes. So you got this type of Yoruba, this type of Fulani, this type of Ashanti, and that's the people that were selling slaves. Then you got 22 sub-ethnic groups below these people. Like, so the people that you're talking about, we descend from. So people that like people like Apaya talking about, he came to America, he wearing the chain. Apaya, you the worst. I know he left though, because you know I'm gonna get him. He is the worst. But like you wearing the chain and I know that we definitely don't descend from your this particular ethnic group. Like we don't. Like we descend from the people that out of the Yoruba people. Say it's all right, just as an example. The Yoruba people got these particular people at the top and all the way down. There's sub-ethnic groups. That's the lowest population. We more than likely, we descend from anybody that's Yoruba. We descend from them because you sold all of them. You sold all them people from your group. So it's like, and we're talking to people that descend, because because they got the resources to come here, and they're talking to us about what we got to do, this and that. Like, I don't, stop it. Stop it. Like, I need to stop. We don't know you. We're a different ethnic group. All these ethnicities collided, and racial groups collided in America. We are a product of chattel slavery. We don't know you. And that's okay. I don't know Jamaicans like, even though you're like, oh, it's something similar. Or you put fire on wood and you cook rice with it. I'm like, yeah, we are brothers. I'm like, no. I'm like, all right, no, man. But it's things like that really like they try to go through nuances and this and that. They're trying to find some kind of connection with people that we don't know. We're our own people, and that's fine. Are we of Afro descent? Yes. Are we of European descent? Yes. Is it by force? Yes. Is it? Do some of us have admixtures with Native Americans? Yes, because that's our story. I'm product of chattel slavery. I don't know you. So when we're talking about things within our group, what we have to do, how we got to do it, and people that are not from our group coming in and just talking like just because they're dark skinned or whatever, just talking like black means black. No, Smokey Robinson is black. See, black means something different in America. That's why after this, I'm done Newstoter. I don't want to go no far after this. Black means something different in America. It does not mean melanin color. Because Smokey Robinson and Chris Brown are black, and Wesley Snipes and me are both black. Because it's an ethnic identifier on top of a racial identifier. Right? So, like I just host, so I just don't like when people come in that's not of our ethnicity. We having these serious talks about who we are, what we need to do as a people, and feeling like just because they moved here and the police beat them up, that somehow that connects you. Like, because you didn't even, when you moved here, your mom wasn't even thinking about the police beating you up. We watching TV. I get to move to New York, blah blah blah, and our mothers was over here trying to survive. I get to move to Atlanta. We know, like, our culture is out of survival. We don't know what you're talking about. We don't know about running. We don't know. We just know survive. That's it. So I feel like you have to put this in the context when you talk to us. It's not about us connecting. It's, all right, I'll say this one last thing, then I'm done. I'll say this one last thing. So back in the day, people like to break up Malcolm X he was a Pan-African, this and that. And Malcolm X and John Henry Clark, they both started what we call the African American Organization for Unity. And if you look at their charter, a lot of that stuff is about Africa. You need to connect with our African brothers. Don't forget your African roots, because they're being decolonized. They're going to need help, so we need to send our brightest and smartest over to Africa to help them build their country. When you looked at the same time they had the African Organization of Unity, is nothing about Black Americans, let alone the diaspora. It's Africa this, Africa. So the whole thing is like we tired of hearing this shit from you people. Like, we gotta do what we have to do, fall back and respect us as our own ethnicity. We don't got no problem with you, but you keep getting in our business. We have a serious issue with that, man. We do. We did enough. I'm telling you. So I learned my play, man. Appreciate y'all, man.
All right, appreciate it. Everybody that's gonna come up.
Can I respond real quick?
Hold on, because no, because we got a speaker, I accidentally went over Black majority state. We're gonna get to you, okay? I'm gonna get back to you. Don't worry about it. But I missed Black majority state, and I need to go ahead and get him because he should have actually went. Let me give a shout out to the R. Bailey too for the super chat over there on YouTube. I think that's like the first or second super chat, the first super chat this month. So shout out to R. Bailey. I know he did a super chat last month as well too. So shout out to that brother for the super chat as well. Let me go ahead and get to Black majority state though. Let me go ahead and get to Black.
Hey, Black, before you go in real quick, hey, John, we getting requests for you to spit that reparations rap song.
Hey, yo, man, I don't even care about no rap, man. I'm trying to just listen to the space.
The boy got bars.
And real quick, guys, we still, like I said, we still looking for a couple people to donate at least $1 to the platform tonight, so we can put that to email hosting. We can put that to web hosting as well too. So if you got $1 on Cash App or PayPal or Venmo that you want to donate, it's greatly appreciated. Let me go ahead and get the Black majority state.
Peace. Newstoter, DJ, everybody in the space.
What up?
Peace.
So it's been an interesting part 1, part 2 of the space, and I didn't speak yesterday because I really don't got a whole lot to add to the conversation. I think it's just beating a dead horse. That's where I'm at with it. But I'll add this tonight because and shout out to the brother Shah. I think he was in the space. We had this long conversation, so I do appreciate the things he's done here in America, on American soil, for Black Americans to benefit from. But when we over-romanticize, and I really think that's where we're at, and I think that was a part of what was going on in the 50s, 60s, 70s, this over-romanticization of the sub-Saharan Africa, which is half of the continent. I don't think we talk enough, and I don't think the Pan-Africanists talk enough about the Arab portion of the continent, which is half of the continent. They don't talk about the Arab enslavement of Africans for over 1,200 years, twice as long, if not much longer than the experience that we've had here. They don't talk enough about the religious wars and separations in sub-Saharan Africa, especially in relationship to the Arabs who have conquered their lands. They don't talk enough about the civil wars amongst each other that are going on right now as we speak. I think there's this, again, if you have never been there, never experienced it, never really did all the research that it seems like the people who are Pan-Africanists would have done or should have done or could have done, you would ultimately come to the realization that there's a lot more going on there than we as a people with no power, no authority, no weapons of mass destruction to really get involved in their mess. It's a quagmire. It's a cluster up. There's way too many problems over there for us to take our time, energy, and resources to deal with them. There is absolutely nothing that sub-Saharan Africa, and that's the southern half of Africa, can do for Black America, and there never was. I think that this is the realization that the Pan-Africanists in America have to come to at some point. There was nothing that they ever could do for us. And I think if some of our civil rights leaders had lived their full life, at some point they would have had to come to the same realization. I'm looking at the GDP for the sub-Saharan Africa, which is the southern half, and this is in trillions of dollars. In 2023, the combined GDP of all sub-Saharan African countries is just over $2 trillion. Now, Black Americans with no country, quite literally, of our own, where we actually control and dictate everything, we already are at that point. We already are at that level. So what is it that they can do for us? Really nothing. I mean, quite literally, they have no control over the U.S. government. They have no control over the politics here. There's nothing they could do for us. So why would we continue to allow them to, it's really a mind game, in my opinion, and I just don't want to play it. The last thing I want to say is this: the whole idea of panism, anything, whatever, pan-Asian, pan-Europe, whatever, it doesn't work anywhere on the planet Earth at 100%, which is really the gaslighting and the blowing smoke up our rear ends that they keep playing against us. And it's really, they're manipulating the portion of our humanity that really wants to help other people. But the reality is, if you look at Europe had that East and West dividing line. There are more Eastern Europeans, this is the Russian half, than there are in the Western part of Europe. The Asians never have gotten along with each other. And again, in Africa, they are constantly in civil wars against each other, sometimes in the same country. Not like country against country, but literally within the same country. I think it's, I don't know if it's immature, childish, if it's just being like head in the sand, and not just having any real comprehension to continue to sell dashikis, kente cloth, and Pan-Africanism to Black Americans is disrespectful. It is disrespectful at this point, and we need to move on. And I'll end on that.
Yikes. Yikes. Black majority state really came through and said a whole lot there. Like, I didn't know you was
8:30, y'all. 8:30 Saturday.
I didn't know Black, you were gonna get it off, because I know you said you didn't speak yesterday. So many people spoke that I forgot. But yikes, I guess you made up for not speaking yesterday. Let me give a shout out real quick to my sister Goddess Michelle. Thank you, Goddess Michelle, for your cash app. Let me give a shout out to Chosen 1997. Let me give a shout out. Thank you, Chosen, for your super chat over there as well too. Shout out as always, DJ supporting as well as always. Let me get to let me get a no taxation real quick, and then we gonna and original's been waiting for a minute as well too, so I got to get the original. So go ahead, no taxation.
Black that came in here and cleared the motherfuckers. Oh, sorry.
Oh. Hey, I'm gonna repeat it again, y'all. Yeah, no cursing, y'all. But go ahead.
Black came in here and told it. That's what he did. Listen, and that's what it is. And why, if my house is burning, why would I go over there and put water on your house? That ain't nonsense. It don't make common sense. It don't make nonsense. So that's what that is. And that's what it has been, and that's what it's going to always be. Those regular Africans over there, they don't run nothing in their country. Those people, look, the reason you don't hear them embracing us and saying how much they want us back over there is because the United States gives those countries aid. Not AIDS. Aid. And for some of those countries, that aid is very, very helpful, especially if you are the head of that country and you're skimming something off the top. See? So no, they can't help us, and we can't help them. And they are tribal people. Get a passport to go to Africa and see. Get an African passport. Now, see, they ain't even got that. Because even people from those countries, they can't go from one country to another without going through some motions that don't make sense. And that's a little known secret over there, okay? They don't like one another. And that's why it bothers me so when black folks over here, our black people, black American folks, fall out and act ignorant with each other, because now you acting just like them. See? Because that's what white folks want y'all to do. And you fell into the trap and did it. You don't like nobody, don't say nothing to them, pass them up. And for that other guy that thinks that I am on some type of a ladder that says one suffering is worse than another, I never said that. Research concludes that the worst form of enslavement in the world happened in this country. This is the war machine for the world. We destroy countries. America destroys countries with weapons, and they take their resources. Those are those same white folks that enslaved us. They take your country through weapons, and then they take your resources, and then they line the pockets of your heads of state, your heads of the country, and that keeps you with nothing. And those are the white people that we fought. The worst form of enslavement that the world has ever seen. I didn't say it, research concludes it. And so dig deeper. That's one thing. The other thing about it is black cleared the room. And so what he said, all that, and that's on period.com. Thank you, Black, for that, because I needed it. I'm going to leave it there.
All right, and I'm gonna get to you guys. I'm gonna get to you, AA. I'm gonna get to you, Shaw. I'm gonna get to you, Dylan. Let me get to Original, and then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get to you guys as well too. Go ahead, Original. You got it.
Yes, but I want to say what No Taxation said earlier about racism. She is about 10,000% right. There was an article that came out. It was back in about 2009. It was from this magazine called Miller McCune, Miller then McCune, MCCUNE, and this white lady was doing some research on how the effects of racism on black people. And so what happened is white folks got upset. They went after her. They even went after her family, including her children. See, people don't want to discuss this issue of what racism has done to us, and it has done things to them too, because white people are psychopathic. It's like Dr. Bobby Wright said, you got the neurotic, the psychotic, and the psychopath. This is a crazy group of people, and this has to be discussed. Now, earlier, AA said that something about not discussing slavery. Oh, no. Slavery has to be discussed, especially the Arab slave trade. See, like now you have people that are wanting black folks to either side with the Palestinians or side with the Israelis. Well, both of them have enslaved us. You got the Arab slave trade, and the black Palestinians are treated as if they're less than human in Palestine. Then you got the Ethiopians, they're treated less than human in Israel, or is it real? So, no, this has to be discussed. And see, and here's the other issue. Part of the Arab slave trade is you can look this up. There's a guy named Tickle Tip. He came out of, I think, was out of Zanzibar or something like that, which is like Tanzania or something like that. Now, he was jet black. He was an African, but he had like 10,000 Africans enslaved, and he was part of the Muslim, Arabic, whatever you want to call it. But this happened, and when I raised this issue locally here on a radio station, a black Muslim came after me, and I had to shut him down. This is insane. These issues have to be discussed. Because somebody brought up Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah attended Lincoln University here in America. And when he was strategizing with some black Americans while he was in school, but when he went back and he began to do some progressive things in Ghana, you had the Ghanaian people being, once again, being led on the string by white folks. They overthrew him. You had Patrice Lumumba. He wanted to take the land back in the Congo for the Congolese. He was murdered, put in a battle, I think they said they put him in a vat of acid and killed him. This has to be discussed. We can't just sit up here and walk around like a chicken with our head cut off and not want to discuss anything. No, slavery has to be discussed, and particularly that Arab slave trade, because the Arabs taught the Europeans how to do what they did to us. And see, people keep thinking that these Arabs and Palestinians, they have never been our friend, and they never will. So that has to be understood that we ought to move forward. We can't just say we're not going to discuss this topic. No, there is no topic that should not be discussed. I just wanted to make that clear, because when we start making comments like that, at that point, I kind of have to exit, because there is no way that I'm going to agree that slavery should not be discussed. And Dr. Clark even said, he said that if he were to do a book on the Arab slave trade, he said they'd run him out of town. This has to be discussed. We can't let these Arabs off, and they keep a lot of black folks, because of religion, keep thinking somebody, whether they be Arab or European, thinking that they're your friend, just like how the Jews were involved in slave trade. There's a guy named Mordecai Manuel Noah. He was a staunch supporter of slavery here in America, and he's the one that started the minstrel, depicting us in negative light. And they wonder why we're not siding with them. I'm not siding with either one of these fools, because they both hate people with black skin, and that's just telling the truth about it. And black majority, you set it off. And I'm going to land with that.
All right, thank you, original. Let me give a shout out to JC 555 for his contribution for their contribution on Cash App. Also, professional punter, I send you an invite because I know you left a comment. You always seem to leave a comment about Thomas Sowell every time whenever you decide to leave a comment in these spaces about more whites were brought as slaves to North Africa than blacks brought as slaves to the United States. And after the slaves over here were freed, the ones that the Ottoman Empire was still they still had white slaves and stuff in the Ottoman Empire and whatever. So I guess you're a big Thomas Sowell fan or whatever. So if you feel free, come on up here and speak, because like I said, I know you always, when you do leave a comment, it's always about Thomas Sowell. I don't know if he's a hero of yours or whatever, and you're going to educate us about how these poor white folks were the ones that was really victimized, and black people got off easy. So if feel free to come on up here and explain it to the room how it was actually the poor white folks and that was brought as slaves in North Africa and was victimized, and actually the black slaves got off pretty easy in comparison or whatever. So if you feel free to come on up here, because I know you'll drop another comment before the actual space is off. You'll drop a couple more comments about Thomas Sowell or whatnot. So come to the room, come in the space. You're in the space at the bottom of the screen. Come on up here. I sent you the invite and explain to us, like so many other white folks tell us too, that we were actually better off being slaves and stuff. It actually saved us from being from eating one another and being pagans and all this other stuff that they love to tell us, and that we benefited and all this other stuff as well too. So come on up here and explain it to us, explaining how it's really the poor white folks that really were the ones that victimized. And everybody, we hear that same talk, everybody in the world was slaves and this and that or whatever. So come on up here. I sent you the invite. Definitely come up here and educate us and let us know exactly had we stayed over there in Africa, we'd probably be cannibals and all this other nonsense. So come on up here. I sent you the invite. Please educate us. On that note, until he comes up here, let me go ahead and kick it to back to Shaw. Shaw, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay, family. I was thinking of what to say because I heard a lot of things that were a little inaccurate, a lot inaccurate. But I said, no, this is what I need to say. What makes us strong? Because one of the problems for us here in the United States is we have our people who are weak-minded. What I learned about what makes us strong is our culture. Our culture anesthetizes us. It protects us, inoculates us from being able to be manipulated, being like Clarence Thomas or Candace Owens, or we can go on and on and on. I don't want to use that derogatory term because a lot of times that limits your vocabulary.
K-word.
Huh?
K-word. There you go.
Thank you. So what makes us, and this is the same thing everywhere we are, but what has made us weak is the ones of us that can be manipulated, that can, succumb to greed or fear, even in some cases, because if you want to be at the lead, you've got to be willing to give the ultimate sacrifice, which is your life. They find the weakest of our weak and put them in power, or they'll take the ones that are in power and strong and says, we're going to kill your mama, your daddy, your kids, unless you do what we tell you to do. So you either do what we tell you to do, or your family is dead and you are dead. And this is a position. This is not a good position. They did that to the Black Panthers and to us in LA, us organization. So that's their tactics, right? That's the kind of shit that they do. It needs to be said that Patrice Lumumba, what was behind that was the CIA. What was behind Nkrumah's exile from Ghana, I think he died in Guinea, Conakry, was the United States. What's behind the 30 coups and assassinations was the French. The French is, we need to say it. If we're going to say it right. It's the Organization of African Unity, the OAU, not the African American organization of unity, and it didn't start in the United States. It started by a Caribbean brother and some African brothers, and one of the first meetings they had was in the United back in the 50s, or whenever it was, back in the day. So that's the OAU that started, and that group started with a split and infiltration with the Casablanca group and the Monrovia group. The Monrovia group was for, the Casablanca group was for the unification of Africa becoming one country right away. And the Monrovia group was, well, no, we should wait, we should get it, to these small countries and take time and then become a lot of those leaders that were on there that weren't infiltrated later admitted that they made the wrong mistake. Julius Nyerere of Tanzania cried in Nkrumah's grave when he told him that we made the wrong mistake. We should have unified Africa then. What else? What Africa can do? Let's say if they shut Congo down right now, if the folks there, if the Congolese just took their shit, hold of their shit, 70% of the world's coltan that makes our phones and all our computers and shit would stop.
Hey, with the cursing, y'all.
Done. No fucking lithium.
Yikes! You just dropped the F-bomb right behind it.
Oh, that's fine. So that would be tantamount to just the stop of technology, right? So what can happen? That's what Africa offers the world, is their resources. There's other resources that would shut the Western world down, primarily Europe. Europe would suffer before the United States would suffer, but the technology part, the United States would suffer. So if the Congo alone, just the Congo alone, were to take control of their thing, this is what, now the question was, the statement was made, what can Africa do for America? They can't do anything for America. Yet, when we see, like the Congo, and we see all of the gold that's coming out of Africa, all of the, you name it, it's so many different resources that are coming out of Africa. They could get it in other places. Not as, some of it they can't, like the coltan that makes the phone, the lithium batteries, they have other places that have it, but the Congo has the most of it. 70% of the world's coltan comes from the Congo. This is why 6 million people died between 1990 and 2000. 6 million Congolese died from 1990 to 2000. And you'll never know about it because the media, these Jews, will never let you know about it. But they clearly let you know about what's going on with the Jews getting bombed up over there, right? We know about that so well, don't we? We see it in the news all day. But they're not going to let you know about that. And that's not what King Leopold did. King Leopold estimated to kill 15 to 20 million Congolese back at the turn of the century when he was there. That's 15 million people they estimated died in the Congo from King Leopold. Then in the 1990s, 6 million. So slavery, some would argue that dying would be better than being a slave the way we were slaves, but at least they stayed alive enough for me to be here. And for me to be here, I'm quite aware where my mama's from. They got Juves. They got it like they in the Caribbean. They call it Juve. They got Congo Square. I met a young brother whose last name is the same as my mother's last name, maiden name. And he told me that he's from New Orleans. He grew up in Arizona. He told me his grandmother told him, don't ever forget we come from the Congo. Louis Armstrong's grandmother told Congolese people when he went there to perform, his grandmother told him. And my teacher that took me to Congo was 12 years old, and he was in the audience when Louis Armstrong is telling the translator that's speaking in French to the people of Brazzaville where he grew up, that his grandmother told him, don't ever forget we come from the Congo. So you may not have that in your history, Jordan, John Don. You may not know that. You don't know that. That's your experience. My people didn't talk about it, but it wasn't what they said. It was what they did. It was the food they ate. It was the nicknames. It was, they didn't practice hoodoo or voodoo. But I did some research because I wanted to know more than just what I heard, because the things that I heard was very African kinds of things as I began to be in contact with continental Africans and start learning this Black study stuff, right? Come to find out, they got Juves. Come to find out, they got voodoo. Come to find out, they got hoodoo in Opelousas and Lake Charles and Lafayette and New Orleans. This is all this, kind of Creole, quote, Creole, unquote. So they got all of these Africanisms that are clearly African, where my brother, you don't know that because that's not your experience. You don't come from that. Those are African retentions. But all of us don't come from the South Carolina or places where there were strong African retentions. But some of us do. And even if you don't, right, and I'll include this, a wave of Haitians that came into Louisiana in the 1800s. And that was after the Haitian Revolution. They brought a lot of slaves, enslaved Africans to New Orleans, to the Louisiana area. And they took up 300,000. Here's the other thing. They took 300,000 Native Americans to the Caribbean islands, right? So all of this kind of connection, right? I'm saying that definitely if we understand global politics, definitely we can make some wise decisions and understand that it's possible. What will mess up our reparations is that this country will falter with its fiat currency and the inflation. The problem is BRICS, and I'm going to end on this because it's starting to get big. But we talk about this all the time. We talk about the Muslim slave trade. We talk about that in these spaces, the Pan-African spaces. We talk about Islam and the effects that of Islam have had on us and Africa today. We talk about a lot of these things. But this BRICS that's happening is a challenge to the Western world, to Europe and the United States. They're really trying to involve African countries in BRICS because they know Africa is a crucial place. And if Africans are smart, they'll make proper allies so that when they take their when they take their stuff back, that they will have allies because France cannot survive and it will wage war on Africa. It's already on the edge right now with Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. It's on the edge, and it's forcing the weak-minded Africans, right? We cannot afford to be weak-minded, but the weak-minded Africans in this organization called ECOWAS is doing the bidding of France and the United States. So, but the people of Nigeria wouldn't stand for it. They would not allow their country to go into war with their neighbors, with their family members that are just across the border. They ain't even a border. So these are the things that we discuss all the time. Geopolitics is important. It's easy to say that there's nothing they have to offer, yet the Western world, if Niger cuts its uranium from France, it's done. They don't got enough uranium from other places because they're getting it for nothing. So when they have to start paying $200 of whatever the measurement unit instead of 80 cents, this is what they're paying. The French is paying 80 cents for uranium that fills their nuclear energy plants, right, to keep their power on, their heat on. They pay 80 cents instead of 200. In Canada, they got to pay 200 from Canada for the uranium, $200. So this is the kind of shit they've been doing in Africa, and they continue. And so that cell phone that you paying $1,100 for, well, if the Congo gets control of its stuff, that phone is probably going to be $5,000. I'm going to land right there.
All right. Let me give a shout out to No Taxation. No Taxation. Thank you for your contribution on Cash App. Let me go ahead and get to the double A. Go ahead, you got it.
Let's D go, and after I'll go after D. Thank you.
All right. Go ahead, D.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. I wanted to say, just like Shaw said, we talked about the Arab slave trade, and even in Pan-African space, not only here on the continent, on Twitter, you have to understand when we talk about Africa, yes, they're on the continent, but we talk about black people all the time. We don't really fuck with them Arabs, so I don't know who told you we fuck with them.
Yeah, hey, everybody, real quick, because we keep dropping F-bombs, we dropping the S word. which is cool sometimes, but we just, even after the warning, everybody's still dropping it. So let me tell everybody, chill on the cuss words. Everybody is elegant enough to come up here and speak. Just go ahead and speak, and let's try not to hit the curse words, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But yeah, we don't really mess with them, so they're not part of our movement. That's number one. Number two, I heard the sister and Blackson say that we're not coming to help nobody. I want this to be clear. We, especially in this space, number one, we were responding to Newstoter's question. That's number one. And number two, nobody's begging for your help. The invitation is for people to work together, and it happens on the continent. So when somebody say, "Hey, let's work," it's not. You don't have to. Like, nobody is saying that without you, Africa would not be what it will be. It's not what it's saying. So please, just everybody, let's just be respectful and not be like, that arrogance to talk to people like people are here begging for a savior. That's not what's going on. Because at the same time that people complain that, hey, Africans or the continent of Africa doesn't do anything for black folks, when people say, hey, we're trying to do this, don't come and say, hey, we're not coming to help or anything. And again, to Blackson again, when he says that Africa has nothing for us, like, we don't, only in America, not even black people in America, on Twitter Spaces, where you hear people say that, oh, Africa has nothing, when literally the whole world is trying to, like, basically trying to wage war for Africa. So if you sit here and say, oh, there's nothing in Africa, you're fooling yourself. It's not what it is. And again, to go back to the whole thing about Africa, to the resources and all that, like Shah was saying, right now, just to make it simple, there was, in Niger, for example, Niger provided the whole European Union with a quarter of their electricity. A quarter of their electricity is taken from Niger's uranium, right? They had a president that was best friends with the French, and the army took him down with the support of the people. And the French wanted to use ECOWAS in the vein and put the army down and kill people and then bring their puppet back. And the people came out in millions, and Burkina Faso and Mali stood up and said, whoever attacks Niger, it's like they wage war on all of us. So now they formed an alliance of 3 countries, right, to fight back. And again, with those same 3 countries, they started taking control of the resources in the countries. So there's a huge movement coming. And when Shah mentioned the BRICS, they've been to Africa at least 3 times to meet with, I'm talking about my area, right, the Sahel region, to meet with the leaders 3 times, because when shit starts going on, they want us to be their allies. So you have to be careful when you say, hey, you got nothing to offer. This is a lie. And all these European countries, just like Shah said, they're going to go to war with Africa, right? Because soon enough, Africa will surpass all of them. And people say, no, Africa has the resources. What it needed was just the leadership and the support behind it by the people to take everything back. Africa will be bigger than all of these countries. If you don't think it's possible, look at Singapore. If you don't think it's possible, look at other places that were nothing 60 years ago. At the same time, Africa had their independence, there was nothing there. They had control of their resources, and they made it happen. And the same thing is about to happen. It's just going to take a couple decades, but you're going to see. So no. And just to land on that, nobody is begging anyone for help. It's an invitation, and even on the continent, unfortunately, not everyone is a Pan-Africanist, right? Some people just like, oh, it's me and me. So there's the invitation, the echo that you hear from people calling you, saying that, you my brother, let's work together. This is part of the whole Pan-Africanist movement. They're saying that, hey, black people need to work together. Again, just like not everyone on the continent gets along with it, you don't have to. If you feel like it's not for you, then don't do it. But don't sit and act like somebody is begging you, or without you they wouldn't live. Because they're gonna live and they're gonna thrive and they're gonna prosper. I'm gonna land there.
All right. Thank you, D. Let me go ahead and get to Double A. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, man, thank you. I think that D really touched on some of the points that I wanted to speak to. Like I said, I put on my thinking cap, and made my submission. I barely do that on Twitter Spaces. 99% don't do that. I just, whatever. But I gave your space a bit of respect, and I thought that some of the members that also had something to contribute will stick with the issue, with the exception of Shah and D. The rest of them that came straight to attack, straight like off the rail conversation, just spitting. We don't know you. Who cares? And blah blah blah. And after, but that is not even the subject matter. That's not even the subject matter. And then you have somebody here want to talk about economics. You talk about GDP. Sir, you want to talk about gross domestic product? You know how much Africa is worth? You know the assets of Africa? See, somebody, I literally dropped to listeners because there and then I knew it was game over. I can't even debate with you. I can't even debate with you. And somebody sit down and say, we don't know you, we don't like you. Do you know that? Listen, let me learn. You have no clue the human capital Africa has produced and continues to produce. You have no clue. Okay, so don't make it look like there's something special that we've not seen. Whatever you shoot, Africa will shoot 10,000 off it in terms of human capital. Okay, it is only fair that we all have a common interest, that we can rally around it. The strength of Africa, two things: the human capital and its natural resources. And that's the reason why world leaders always engage to. That's the reason why Africa always has a leverage. And what I always seek to do is to remind all of us as Black folks that, listen, if we can rally behind the leverage that we have with our human capital and resources, we can call the best shot. But if it is something that you don't subscribe to, that is fine. Why? What's the point? If Africa goes and talk about, listen, I have diamond and gold, give me this. You go and talk about what? See, I don't want to go to that. I don't want to derail and get into the guy. But let's show some respect, deal with the issues for what it is, and move on. This personal attacks in Africa, blah, blah, blah. Sir, if the conversation is above your level, go to listeners so that this conversation can move on. And stop insulting and trying to downgrade folks, or else on a very bad day, all of us will drop some bombs that, trust me, you will not. And when I said I don't like talking about slave trade or the slave era, it's because of a statement that Shah did. And that's always my principle. When I was being taught about slavery, it was all about tears. It was things that would blow your mind that you're like, wow. And I get it. Those that Shah, they told you that, come home. That's how we felt. It's not just them. If you ever traveled and you had the right people telling you about the true story and took you to where it happened and how it happened, aside the trauma, there's no way that you will hear the story and you see the person that did it and you smile with it. And to some extent, probably that's the reason why they have covered a lot of the rot and presented just, the tip of the iceberg for some of those here to just run with it and let it look like that's what happened. So I don't talk about it because it traumatized me enough. It's traumatized. I'm from Elmina. I am from Elmina, Cape Coast. The Cape Coast Castle close to it. You have the Elmina Castle right there. My family were part of those that were captured. You know the process they went through? Do you know what they went through? So I don't talk about it. And that's the reason why I said, for me, I don't talk about slavery matters. It doesn't mean that I don't want others to talk about it. Or I'm trying to say that we should just move on. No. So let's respect that. I'll yield the mic.
All right. Oh Lord, y'all are wilding tonight, man. Y'all are really, really wilding up in here. Shout out to let me shout out the Chosen 1997 one time. Hey, hold on real quick. Hold on real quick. Let me give a shout out to my man.
I mean, if your space is a troll space, that's fine. Probably, you know,
Show respect.
no, but it's a troll space. It's a troll space.
It's not a troll space, man.
Listen to the type of comments they're making. Like,
Why?
No, but
Well, Joe,
Hold on real quick. Like I say, I want to give a shout out to my man Chosen, 1997 on YouTube for the super chat real quick. This is not a troll space. People have a difference of opinions, and I'm sitting up here trying to be as unbiased as possible. Of course, being a Black American, I'm going to feel a certain way, but I'm still letting everybody come up here and speak their truth. That's what I'm going to do. I let you speak it. I let Black majority state speak it, D speak it, Shaw speak it. Everybody that comes up here is speaking how they feel or whatever. I just was laughing at the point when you was talking about the dropping the bombs and stuff like that. Like, I thought that was funny, but outside of that, I mean, and sometimes people come into a space and people say a certain thing and then they want to say, well, the space is a troll space or whatever. There's no troll space here. We were talking about the actual Pan-African conference, and then because we're talking, and let's be for real, this is all within the realm of Black relationships, Pan-Africanism, and all this right here. So even though it hasn't just solely stayed on the actual Pan-African conference, it's still about the actual relationship between the diaspora and Africa and Africa and Black Americans as well too. So there's no troll space just because you're having a difference of opinions with people. There's no troll space here. So let me go ahead and say that first and foremost. Now, I think John might be next to speak up.
Just real quick, I just wanted to ask John something too, since you're gonna be let him speak real quick. But hey, John, you remember back in the late '80s and the early '90s, right? When a lot of folks from the Caribbean came here to like Jersey, Tri-State, or whatever. Weren't they already delineated from us by saying, hey, I'm this, that, and the third? They're rolling around in their cars. They got their little Jamaican headbands, and they got their medallions hanging out the car. We wasn't even doing that, putting American headrests and stuff like that in our car. So it's like y'all already telling us from the moment you got here that you ain't us, you ain't Black or whatever, and this is who we are, and we want to be left alone over here, but not in your own country, though. But go ahead.
Brother, please allow me 30 seconds to respond to that real quick.
Wait. Let me, because you already spoke. So let me get to John, and then I'll come back to you. I'll get back to you, but let me get to John. Go ahead and mute your mic, and then I'll come back to you.
I just say this one thing because I know Sean was like, yeah, I'm with Jordan. Yeah, we got the African retention, but let me respond to my brother DJ. As far as Jersey and Newark. Yeah, I mean when they first came to Newark, because the thing about it, like people think Newark is like New York City because if you're not from here, you think we sound similar. But if I'm talking to somebody from New York, they talking to me, they gonna know like you from Jersey. You talk a little slower. I talk fast to people, but you a little more relaxed, and I'm not even that relaxed, but. But like, nah, when they first came here, say in the 80s and the 90s, it was mostly Caribbeans. They were Caribbeans, but the thing about it is that, when I was a teenager, I think as the age got DJ a little older than me, but when I was a teenager, I was going to school with their kids. So their kids would say things like, oh, I'm Haitian American and I'm African American. I'm you and I'm me. I used to hear things like that when I was coming up. Yes, I'm not even lying to you. I'm dead serious. I was like, what the fuck? Like at 12, 13 years old?
Yo, everybody with the language.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. Apologize about that, bro. I really do, man. But yeah, that's how it was back then, where it was like they would say that I'm Black American and I'm myself at the same time. They kind of like say I'm a special type of Black person, or it was really weird. It never sit right in my soul. So I'm like what? But luckily, like, I'm from like a majority Black American. Like, our Black American culture here is very deep. The music, we go to the clubs, we got bars, we still got like old institutions, restaurants, and stuff like that been here before the North Rise, or that were built right after the North Rise that is still here. But that was a really weird dynamic. But no, like, he wasn't riding around saying that we Black Americans and this and that. It was more about it's just a different thing. They came here, they came to this Western country, and I think the fact that people got to accept throughout the diaspora that these Black Americans, we are from the West. And for we are not saying that, like, we are from the West, and it's very weird, and it's even weird to Europeans when we went to France and during World War I, the Harlem Hellfighters went to France for 2 years. And they, trust me, they had colonial troops. They were bringing troops from every colonial empire, West Africa included, Southern Africa, East Africa. So it wasn't like they never seen a dark-skinned person fighting next to them. But when they seen us in the way that we were moving, they were like, the first people was like, who are these Negroes? We hanging out. We like, oh, we like, it was like y'all fight hard every day. Y'all go in the trenches, get bombed, and listen to jazz music and smoke cigars. Like, who are these? Like, these people were weird to me. Like, and like, they really loved us. We really fought hard for the French, and that's the reason why after we left, about 4 or 5 years after that, they started popping up jazz clubs everywhere in Paris in 1920s. That comes from 2 years of us being over there during the war. That's where that comes from. Like, like, we directly influenced people that we don't even, that they just met us, like, during like our worst time. So, but the reason I got on stage, let me get back on topic. The reason I got on stage is because Sha said something about African retention. I did not deny African retention, Sha. I never said that we did not. The fact that we have any kind of African retention is crazy to me. The fact that they tried to really knock everything, they want us, like, if we was not fighters, we would be just straight up robots and not know anything about, we wouldn't. No, the fact that we even was like, no, like, the fact that we even retained a little bit of it and added it to our culture is that's how I know that we're not like other people. Other people would have fully assimilated. Other melanin, they would have fully assimilated. And now you got people talking about, hello, mate. Oh yeah, I'm from Jamaica, but the UK. No, people's like, no, we from America. America does not exist without us. Like, that's what people don't understand. The reason we're from the West because. And people got to understand is that we are a product of the America. We are a direct product and the direct reaction to the action of America. Like, we are a product of America, but that doesn't mean that we never wanted to assimilate. We wanted to integrate to get resources and be treated like Americans. We never wanted to assimilate. That's the reason why we talk the way that we talk today, and we still maintain our culture. But it's so broadcasted so much that people feel so entitled to like what we do because they see us on TV the most. They just feel like, oh, that's just American culture. No, it's Black American culture. It's clearly Black American culture. Like, and like people, I think people that, especially Black people that move to, or dark-skinned people, or melanated people that move to majority white countries that are not from majority white countries. We are the blueprint of how to survive in a majority white country. It's only us. That's it. So, like, so it's like, so you have to take cues from us. You have to talk like us. You have to move like us. So, because that's what, like, our whole ethnogenesis is about: surviving in a majority white country, coming together. Like, people, like, so he said retention. He doesn't understand. I wish he would read. It's a book called The Shy. We read this book. It's called Exchanging Our Cultural Marks. It's by, I think he's a Portuguese dude. His name is Eric Gomez, I think. Exchanging Our Cultural Marks. And he talks about, like, the formation of the Black American ethno group and how our culture developed. And he talks about that, because people take a lot of sense of agency saying everything got beat out of us and we just got stripped and had to start new. No, we kept things. We kept things that we felt we needed. We got stripped of a lot. We kept things we felt we needed. And we threw away a lot of things to survive. If you're from Madagascar, and if you're like what is now known as Madagascar, and I'm from a region that is now Senegambia, and we're on a plantation and we can't speak to each other to survive. I don't care about I'll be able to survive. Like, what are you talking about? This is my lick. Forget that. You got to talk this way. So this is what, especially, particularly our language comes into place. Like, You know what I mean? We had to pick up English to communicate with each other on these plantations to survive, and then it just kept growing and growing after Reconstruction and stuff like that. And then this is where the Black American culture comes from. But I just feel like, you know, a lot of that other stuff people talking about is just be like, you got it, like you not us. Like Apaya, you need to relax, bro. You know, I think you need to. Why are you not Apaya? If you love Black Americans this much, where is the Ghana help Black American space? That's what Malcolm X would want. Malcolm X would not want you in our business. Malcolm X was not setting up for you. He was Pan-African. He was setting up for you to build your country. MLK, even when you had so I remember one person came in an old school Tariq space talking about no Africans came because of the Cold War. The first ones came from Kenya for the Kennedy vote. Do you know who was pushing for that? Listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. It was two Black immigrants at the time that was aberration. Sidney Poitier, and I think it was Harry Belafonte that was kind of like pushing them. But guess who had the reach to really get into his ear? The person they had to tag into to talk to John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon, who was Dwight Eisenhower was vice president at the time, but Jackie Robinson. It was Jack. So they was like, Jackie Robinson, I know you know Eisenhower. They know you. You want to bring these Kenyan kids to get learned in America, go back and build their homeland. So it was about like you coming here was about going back to build your homeland, not staying here. That was it was like come here, do what you gotta do, learn the lessons, and go home and back us up from home. That was the Pan-Africanism we were talking about in the 60s. Like, we're going to help you here. We're going to get ourselves together. We need you to go home and back us up here. You think it's reciprocal? They like, no, I'm coming here.
Hey, John, real quick, we coming down the home. We coming down the home stretch. So I'm gonna have you go ahead and land it because we're gonna have everybody that got their hands up. Nobody else whose hands are not up, not coming to speak tonight because we're gonna be closing the space out in a little bit. I'm gonna go to you. Well, we got you. We got I'm gonna let D speak. I'm gonna let okay, AA, I see you just put your hand up. So nobody else put your hand up. Don't bring any other speakers up here as well, too, because we're gonna be getting up out of this space. I'm gonna give everybody 3 minutes to go, and then we're gonna be closing the space out for the night. So John, go ahead and land your plane real quick so we get to the next speaker.
I appreciate the break. I'm not gonna lie, I was bad, but I ain't gonna lie, I started going crazy, like But you know what? It's just that like I be tired of people just getting into our business. So the whole thing about it is just like respect us as an ethnicity. Please back off, or you're gonna keep getting this reaction for us. We tired of it. We are our own ethnic group. Being descendant of slavery is far from us. We don't need to go back to some ancient. We don't need it. We know how much the fact that we came out of slavery. The fact that I know that my 5th great-great-great-grandfather is a slave owner, an Irish slave owner, and everybody else in my ethnicity or Afro descent, then it's a Native American, and it's more Afro descent. The fact that I know I came from that, and we still here, and we still kicking and doing all the amazing stuff we do, that's fine for me. And people got a problem with that for some reason. But I land my plane, man. I appreciate you, Newstoter. DJ, appreciate you too, brother.
All right, appreciate that. Thank you. Let me go ahead and let D because he wanted to respond real quick. D, I'm gonna give you 3 minutes, and then we're gonna go on to the next speaker as well. So go ahead.
I appreciate. First I'm gonna start by saying to Jordan, it's interesting how when he first came up, he told us Africans, even right now, to stay out of the conversation. Then he proceeds by mentioning a Portuguese author. That's number one. And talking about we don't know what's going on, but he's saying history written by Portuguese about Black Americans. That's number one. Number two, when he just speaks, he talks about, the plan was for y'all to come and learn, not to come and stay. You speak like Africans that are here are not even less than 1% of the African continent. There's no huge migration of Africans over here. Most of Africans, 99% of Africans are on the continent. So I don't know what you're talking about. And at the same time, you're going to tell a buyer, hey, where's the Ghanaian space by helping Black Americans? Then like, we don't need y'all help. We don't need y'all. Like, this is crazy. But yeah, I just wanted to say those things, man. Newstoter is my first time in your space. I usually I'm trolling in spaces, but the whole time that I've been here, I've been serious. So shout out to you. Thank you.
All right, appreciate that. I'm glad you didn't troll tonight, so appreciate that one. Let me go ahead. I see Shantae's up here. Shantae, I'm gonna let you go ahead. I'm gonna give you 3 minutes. I know you probably coming up here towards the end, but we're gonna be closing it out soon. So I'm gonna give you 3 minutes. Go ahead and do what you got to do. What's up?
I only need 1 minute. Shout out to you, Newstoter. DJ, what up? But the young man, Johnny, I kind of looked at your little background. You come from my neighborhood. You from New Jersey. You up from Orange.
Oh, don't be blowing up his
from Orange, too.
We Essex County, chill, sister.
So I just wanted to let you know that. So all the conversations that I've been having here on this app, like the last past year, you said everything I've been saying for like the last past year, but you just put that into like a 3-minute sentence. Yes, we do have like a whole bunch of foreigners and things like that that's like over here. Down on Central Avenue, up in Orange, they got their own daggone radio station, and that was telling us on a Sunday night, I keep telling everybody up on here, like, look, what we need to do is we got to fill out our census, but we got to claim, this is Jamaican radio station up on Central Avenue. What's that Central, right before you hit Scotland Road? And right there, Lincoln Avenue, before you hit Lincoln Avenue. It was saying basically, and when we get ready to fill out our census, just make sure that we say that we're black, even though we don't like to be called black.
Friendship radio station, I think it's called.
I'm not for certain, but I'll broadcast it all the time. Okay, you said 3 minutes, so let me just hurry up and sum this up. Young man John, I just followed you. If you don't follow me back, it's okay. But what you've been saying,
why you on Central, son?
Yeah, let her go ahead, DJ.
I'm not that type of person, but everything that I've been saying, it was just so surprisingly that you said it so quickly. Respect is much given. And I appreciate you saying that. I didn't want to seem like I was the only crazy person saying this. Everybody act like we owe them something. We don't owe nobody a goddamn thing. And I'm going to just leave it there as that. We give people respect, and the same respect should be fucking given.
No F-bombs, but thank you.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I do cuss a lot. Look, good night, everybody.
All right.
I appreciate the conversation.
No problem. Thank you, Shantae.
Essex County women. Shout out to Charlotte.
I'm gonna go to Shad, and I'm gonna get the UAA, and then I'm gonna get the black majority states. So Shad, go ahead and unmute your mic. 3 minutes.
All right, thank you. Shout out to you, hosts, for this space. It was more productive than not. Just want to say that I'm in African spaces all day, and I get some feedback of, well, why are you in here? We're talking about our country and our problems, and so, well, what are you doing in here? Where are you from? Da 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 da. And then other folks in the room be like, he's cool. Let him. That's Charlotte. Let him stay in. And I give my little. If it's a topic that I think I could say something on, I love to speak. So I'm in there. So they're getting used to me. Every now and then somebody will come in and like, who are you? And where are you from? What's your accent? Where are you from? So I'm in there, and I make it my business to be in there because I'm giving an African American perspective to things. I'm letting it be known that I'm interested in the country, especially Nigeria right now. And I'm doing my homework too. I'm not going in there saying nothing that's uninformed most of the time. So just like Apia is in these rooms, I'm over in those rooms, and more folks like me are following me in those rooms, and they're beginning to, kind of. So in a way, it's a way of getting to know each other and letting them know that a lot of the problems that they're having, which sometimes they don't identify, they're always tend to look at the leaders as, and that's good. We got to hold ourselves accountable. But I remind them that it's follow the money, because usually it's a white boy behind the scenes, corporations and doing their things. And we're having the same issue here. There's the French, and then there's this Global Fragility Act. There's the HR 7311 countering the malign effects of Russian propaganda bill that was passed that allows the United States to go into Africa and monitor them. And I'm going to land on this. Not only is this act that we don't know about monitoring African countries from Russian propaganda, it also names Africans in the United States. Africans, it says African Americans or Africans in the diaspora in the United States. So when they say Africans in the diaspora in the United States, they're not saying Nigerians. They're not saying Ivory Coastians. They're not saying Black Americans, freedmen, or African Americans. We're all in one bag. Trust and believe that. That's who they're minding. We're named in that bill. And there's some other stuff that this country has created bills for. The Global Fragility Act, that's another one that I don't have time to talk about, but maybe in another space. That our country has passed these bills that affect Africa that initiated from here. And our bad Democrats, the folks that talk about politics, aren't talking about that, don't know about it. When I go in there, they kind of get a little bit mad at me because it kind of puts them on notice of why y'all for Democrat politics and voting, but y'all don't know about that. So they kind of like, but they have to hear it. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate that. Thank you. Double A, go ahead and unmute your mic, and then I'm going to get the Black Majority State, and that's going to be it for the night. 3 minutes also. Are you there? Let me see. AA, you there? I don't know if AA is there. Are you there?
Yeah.
I don't hear you. I'm thinking he may. Are you in the Matrix? He may be in the Matrix.
His hand is still up, so he might be away from the phone.
Okay, let me try him one more time. Up here, you there? Let me see if I remove him from the speakers. If he'll, I don't know. Give him 1 second, y'all. I wanted to go ahead because I know he had his hand up and he was waiting, but I don't know. Is he still in the space? I removed him and dropped him down. Is he still in the space? Can y'all see him?
Yeah, he's still in the space.
Yeah, you're right there. But I was going to say, like Black Majority just talking. If he come back up here, it'll just be the last of them.
All right. Let me see.
Yeah, I'm having that space right after this. We got to get this money, y'all. I need this money.
All right, Black. I don't see him. If he comes up here real quick while you speaking, I'll let him go real quick and then let you go back. But I don't see him up here. But go ahead, Black.
Okay, cool. So the last thing that Shah said in that legislation, I would like to see it because when you're calling for Africans in the diaspora in the United States, it doesn't sound like you're talking about Black Americans to me, and it sounds like more of a foreign based legislation. So I would like to read that. If you have it, you can send it to me. I appreciate it. But to get to some of the topics that I remember, I kind of wrote stuff down. But the one guy was talking about Africans as a human resource. And he said they had a lot of this abundance of human resource. And to me, that just sounds like slavery to me. I really wish he could clarify what he meant by that. But having resources, which we all know is not the same as having the ability to use those resources to build and maintain systems to control the financial profits that come from those resources. So you could have all the gold, all the cobalt, all the coltan, all the oil, you could have all of that in the ground. All of the stuff has been in the ground because the earth produces it. But if you can't extract it and use it and protect the extraction and the use of it, and then protect the systems that create the profits, then it's essentially worthless to the local native population. So having it is not in fact indicative of wealth to the local population. In Africa, the projections are that the population is going to double in a couple of decades, and half of that population will be under 25 years of age, which effectively means it's going to be a sub-Saharan continent of children, to be quite honest, and that's the way these European, Asian, and other powers are looking at that particular situation. And so this is the reason that all of these countries are building military bases and assets and infrastructure, because they are planning to set up a permanent, and I'm saying this as a permanent colonization of the sub-Saharan continent. And there's really nothing in the way to prevent that. this is something that it doesn't really seem as though the people who are Africans who are leaving their country really understand. They don't seem to understand this global system and how it operates, whether it's Asians, Russians, the French, or the Americans. There is coltan and all these other resources in other parts of the world. They're not in America, of course, but at the end of the day, the military power is going to determine who gets those resources. And being an obstructionist, I think Shaw was talking about obstructing these resources. That's a temporary stopgap that will only last as long as it takes to remove those obstructions. The reality of the world that we all live in is that military might controls the resources of the planet. I wish it wasn't that way, but that is really the way that it is. And as far as I can tell, for the rest of my life, that's the way it will always be. I think the Africans, the leadership, the people who have a desire to see a change, really need to start coming together for their own survival. Because to have 2 billion people on a half of a continent and have no control over anything is going to be likely the greatest tragedy in human history, next to or enslavement. So I'll end on that.
All right. Thank you, Black. Thank you to everybody that came out tonight for the space. We'll be back Monday. DJ said he's having the space tonight, guys. So definitely check his space out as well, too. DJ's got he's got the recap space probably going on. So y'all definitely go ahead and catch him out over there. I didn't know if the part 2 was gonna be as informational as part 1, but it seemed like maybe part 2 tonight was actually better than the actual space yesterday. So shout out to all the speakers and all the listeners and everybody who came in to join us tonight. Thank you to everybody. You guys know Monday through Thursday you can catch the Newstoter Twitter space here on Twitter. If you're on YouTube, you can catch the actual live stream over there. It starts at 8:10. Shout out to everybody who donated on Cash App, and also those who was on YouTube as well, who donated as well to Super Chat. So guys, I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna call it a night. We'll see you guys Monday, bright and early, not bright and early, but 8 p.m. And everybody have a safe weekend. We'll see you guys in peace, and thank you once again for coming out supporting.
Peace, family. Newstoter family.